This episode of Recording Studio Rockstars is brought to you by iZotope, Native Instruments, Roswell Pro Audio, and Atom Audio. You're hearing my voice right now through the beautiful Roswell Pro Audio Aztec tube microphone, mixed through iZotope, Ozone, RX, and Neutron, all on Atom Audio monitors and headphones. Please check out our awesome sponsors using the links in the show notes. Also, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel because it's a great way for you to help support this show. Now get ready to rock.
We have the gear. I don't know if we can do it anymore. We may have lost that knowledge. I think the world I grew up in recording is getting lost. My experiences in the recording music industry, they're not valid anymore because that world doesn't exist much. I'm kind of like the last one, right? But the studio brings in studio musicians and, whatever, and we make a record. Nowadays, it's all done in bedrooms with a 2-octave keyboard, and all these plugins, producer packs. So you don't really have to know. I don't know how to get drum tones. I got a CLA plugin. Does it all for me, right? A lot of this knowledge is being erased. It worries me to death.
Welcome to Recording Studio Rockstars. I'm Lij Shaw, and this is the podcast created to help you become a rock star of the recording studio. At iZotope, tone shaping is topping the charts. Meet the Catalyst series, Plasma, Aurora, and Cascadia. Plasma's flux saturation technology brings dynamic warmth and depth to your mix. Aurora takes spatial audio to new heights with lush adaptive reverb, while Cascadia adds exciting delays to your mix, retaining clarity through its smart unmasking feature. Get 10% off Plasma, Aurora, Cascadia, or any of the iZotope plugins with the special code ROCK10 and make your mixes rock at iZotope.com. Howdy, Rockstars. It's your host, Lij Shaw, and welcome back to Recording Studio Rockstars, bringing you into the studio to learn from recording professionals so that you can make your best record ever and be a rock star of the studio yourself. My guest today is a good old friend of mine, Jamie Tate.
Hello. A
Grammy and Emmy Award-winning recording engineer.
I own both.
Mixer, producer, and owner of the Ruckus Room, the Rukkus Room in Nashville, Tennessee.
The Ruckus Room.
Jamie's career in the studio world began as an intern at the Sanctuary Recording Studios, where he worked up his way to chief engineer. After the Sanctuary sold, Jamie honed his craft while working around the clock at Abtrax Recording Studios. By 2004, with 18 months of clients already booked, he took the leap and founded the Rukkus Room, which has since become one of Nashville's most iconic recording spaces. The Rukkus Room was designed by Gene Lawson of Lawson Microphones and is one of the last remaining purpose-built recording studios in Nashville, spanning 8,000 square feet across 2 separate buildings. It offers unparalleled isolation for recording, and shortly after opening, Jamie recorded Jack Ingram's #1 single, Wherever You Are, and several other top 5 hits, cementing the studio's reputation as a go-to destination.
Who wrote this?
Well, that's got a nice rhyme to it, doesn't it?
It's so out of date.
Is it so out of date?
Yeah,
all right, we'll update it. Jamie's mixed and recorded music for a stunning array of artists, including Thomas Rhett, Taylor Swift, Dustin Lynch, Jared Neiman, Maddie and Tay, Alan Jackson, Vince Gill, Alison Krauss, Miranda Lambert, John Prine.
And newer artists.
Mixing and producing. Well, I don't know which ones are producing and mixing for you, but platinum. You got platinum. Records on your discography.
Buying them. They're expensive.
Stop buying them.
I hate those things, don't you?
They're expensive.
Well, they're expensive, but they kind of date you, and it's like I'm not in it for that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just. Have they started issuing Bitcoin records?
Bitcoin, yeah. You just download your.
I don't know. Is that more expensive? It might be.
It's non-existent.
So please
it's
welcome.
As much of a scam as anyway. Sorry. Yes.
Please welcome Jamie Tate to Recording Studio Rockstars. Jamie, you ready to rock?
I am on camera, and I apologize. I'm getting coiffured tomorrow morning, So this is the ragtag. I look like I'm with the band, the old Fred Willard.
I don't know. You look pretty good. What's this cool shirt you're wearing there, too?
Oh, my wife hates this. I didn't know we were going to be on camera.
It's so
I'm wearing my glasses.
So artistic.
My wife hates this shirt.
Oh, do you do the contacts sometimes?
I do, yeah. But during chemo, I kind of lost my eyesight, so I have to wear these. But it's from, well, should I let people figure out who it is and where it's from?
I don't know. I mean,
once upon a time, it was
artist.
kind of an iconic thing. It's from a Kevin Smith movie, Mallrats.
I don't know.
There's one right after Clerks.
Oh, right on.
It's like 90,
man.
I don't know, whatever, 97, 98, somewhere in there. I don't know. And this is what Jason Lee wore throughout the movie. And I bought it off the website because I was like, 20, and that's what you did back then. So,
I feel like I either saw a post somewhere or I was talking to somebody recently who was telling me about, maybe it was Brian Murphy, who's really into going and checking out pop culture and doing like pop culture tourism.
Yeah.
Like he might have gone somewhere. Apologies to you, Brian, if I'm getting this wrong, but might have gone and been able to visit the actual Clerks store. It still
it's
exists
open.
or something?
Yeah, it's open.
Where is that?
It's in New Jersey.
New Jersey, yeah.
And he has a comic book store. I'm coming off like the huge Kevin Smith fan. I'm not, I just love movies. And that happened to be of, the era when I was coming of age.
And wasn't that
Jay and Silent Bob, yeah.
Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah. I haven't seen all those movies. There's a point where you just have to cut off and go, I'm going to move on from this, but I loved it. Well,
Wait, is it called, what's that point called? Is that called growing up for us?
I think so. It's called maturity. I think I finally hit last year on my 73rd birthday.
On your 73rd birthday.
We're the same age, aren't we?
Yeah, man. 92.
92. So you're born. I think my math may be off, but
24. Oh, wait, no, that's what year it is.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Oh, wait, I just dated the episode now when this comes out.
It's going to be out in 2025.
It'll be, what a year.
It's Black Friday week, Lij. It's the beginning of Black Friday week.
Oh, he's dating the episode right now.
I am. I know we're not supposed to do that, but right now, that's why I have the sweater on. This may come out in summer when it's 173 degrees in Nashville.
That's true. That's true.
We get like 2 months of nice weather, and then it's like fire season. So that's why I have this sweater on, because it's chilly. This is the weather turned today. And I'm keeping warm with all my, Black Friday sales.
Do you ever wish that you had a fireplace in the studio?
Some records deserve it. Is that what you're talking about? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Some lyric sheets need to go in there.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
What are lyrics? Who cares?
I don't know. They're something to hopefully
Let's talk about later. Recording.
Hold on, let me just tell the rock stars. If you want to know Jamie's full backstory, school, starting the studio and everything, he's been on the show a couple of times before. So
yeah,
RSR81 and RSR251. Now we're almost at 500.
Wow.
So
you're ready for syndication.
I think I might already be there. I don't know.
You built quite an industry here, man.
It's been
amazing.
It's been.
I say that every time I come here, but I'm still just so impressed. The way he communicates with you to get you on the show is, I hop from podcast to podcast. And this is the most professional.
You mean like when I stood outside your bedroom window all night with the jam box on top of my head? And it just keeps repeating. The cassette's just like, be on the show. Oh, Jamie,
you have much bigger
click
fish
the button
to catch than me, but I appreciate you. Yeah. I'm the quiet one in the industry.
So your studio is an awesome place. So, going and looking at the website even just to get ready for this again and seeing the way it looks and everything too. What's changed about the studio now? I don't mean that as like a loaded question, but like when you have a studio that sort of starts out and it's already awesome when it begins.
Yeah, I didn't mess with it.
What are your thoughts about that?
Well, when I moved in, I've been in the place 20 years. When I moved in, one of the large studios had been renting it for 5 years, and it was in just utter state of decay.
Right, because it was already how old? Like when was it built?
It opened in 81. I moved in 2004. So according to my math that we've just gone over previously, that's like 83 years. But sound anyway, not Emporium, sound whatever.
Sound nearby.
Yeah, the big sound kit.
Sound off.
Sound off. Yeah. So they had it for 5 years and they let it decay. They moved an air conditioning unit from the outside into the inside. It was rattling the walls. There was a thick layer of mouse poop on this, on everything. So I had to.
Nobody should have any more than a thin layer of mouse poop.
No, thin layer is just the right amount for country music. A thick layer is just too much. It's just tacky. literally sticky. No, so I had to clean up the place to get the cigarette smoke out. But other than that, I didn't mess with it too much. You know, Gene Lawson designed it.
Right.
He's a propeller head, man. You know, you ask him what time it is, he'll tell you how to build a watch. He's that guy.
Right.
You know, I asked him about one of the plates. He has some, Lawson plates. And I asked him.
That's right. And the Lawson microphones.
Yeah, the Lawson mics,
gold,
and spectrosonic, modules. And so I asked him how to get the plate up and, tuned and everything. And I got a 6-hour lecture. Not in a bad way. I was just curious. But boy, did I get an earful. Ask me. I know which resistor goes in that slot now.
So do you think, it's almost like if the studio opened in 81, might be a weird thought, but my thought was like, oh, thank goodness that it probably borrowed from 70s studio design.
It looked like it.
Rather than like borrowing from 80s studio design going to 90s or something.
But in the best way of the 70s, it was that dark brown wood that got you those thick, warm tones.
Yeah.
Not the dead dark brown sounds of the 70s, the more lively dark brown sounds of the 70s. And I say that with complete love. So that helps. That's my drum sound. That room. They used to put the drums in the little room, which I guess is cool again. I do that, but I put them in a big room.
In the big room, right. And I think you set it up in such a way that you're looking over the drummer.
Yeah, I'm a drummer. I'm a frustrated drummer, so I'm looking at him as if I'm...
And then your panning matches what you see too.
Yeah, I can't stand audience perspective drums because unless you're left-handed, it doesn't make no sense. You wouldn't pan a piano backwards, would you?
Well, I'm just also thinking like when a band's playing together, everybody's looking at the drummer, so they're looking at you.
They're looking at me. You got
everybody looking towards you.
Great line of sight.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I think it makes me feel more connected because I'm seeing the drummer move. And when his shoulders start going, I know we got to take. If I'm feeling it and I see the drummers moving, I know we have a good take. Plus, I feel like I can kind of take the temperature of the room in there.
Yeah.
I'm really, really connected to those musicians. I know if they like, or singers too. I know if they think they can do a better one. I hear it, but if they're also thinking it, I feel more welcome to say, hey, that was really good. Can we think you got another 10% in you?
Yeah.
For some reason, I'm really connected. The line of sight in that room is just so good.
Yeah, it's a really great layout. Do you think Gene was thinking that kind of stuff when he designed the whole studio?
There's another room in town, Curb, the Adobe Hut looking place, Curb Studios, Curb Records.
Yeah.
It's the same setup. It was built around the same time. Gene didn't do that one, but you could tell the similar plans were floating around. Maybe Gene sold him his plans. I'm not actually taking the time out of my schedule to ask him that question.
Right. Because you get a long answer.
Yeah. I would love to hear the answer, but they're very similar. I think mine is slightly larger or Curb's is slightly larger. Anyway, I used to work there in the 90s, and then when I found this place, it just felt so comfortable. I felt like I was already, used to the room already. So.
Well, and I love the designs that have the exposed wood. So like the control room, if I recall, you see wood finish.
Yeah, it's
like
kind of an LED live and dead end kind of thing.
Yeah, and then even the floor has like this giant herringbone wood pattern
and
on
grooves
cool.
from where my chair have worn it for 20 years.
Right,
you can tell where I sit.
Yeah. So what do we do about stuff like that? What if we love the old design and we want to maintain it but not replace it?
My schedule's full, so I don't have any time to fix it.
So that's it.
I don't know
Just
what to
deal
say.
with it?
Yeah. I haven't fallen through yet.
But I mean, like, have you guys had to just like, do you just put another layer of finish on things or any of those kinds of things ever?
I don't know. Maybe this could be like a woodworking podcast.
I don't know.
Sure.
I'm just
like the furniture guys.
I don't know. Sounds like it ain't even a problem. So.
I pay so little attention to it. It might as well be my ex-wife.
Yeah.
Was that mean? That was really bad. Okay.
Sorry, it's a good
I guess
joke.
we're going to go with that one. Okay.
Well, right on. So let's see what else. Talk about what kind of stuff is new over there. My guess, I remember when you were sort of like, they were trying to pull you, they were trying to drag you into Pro Tools, and you kind of.
Oh, that was a long.
You kind of.
I think
it was
switched.
a while
I was
ago.
on Radar. We're talking 2004.
Yeah.
So I think like 2008, I was on Pro Tools, and I never looked back. I love Radar. Had a bunch of hits with Radars. Then I, went over to Pro Tools. I still don't mix in the box. I can't. There's nothing for me to fight against.
You're right.
I push up a fader and it sounds just like what I recorded, and that's cool. It's great. I kind of want some stank on it. I want some.
Right.
I want it to look like it was recorded on film. You know what I mean? I don't want it to look like a videotape.
Yeah.
videotape. I'm dating myself again.
Yeah.
I don't want it to look like it was shot in an iPhone. I want it to look like it was shot in Technicolor. And that's kind of what my console did for me. And I'm not sure they've done that in the box. I know people are probably screaming, going, oh, you should try this plugin. You should try this plugin. I've tried them. They don't do it. I've never worked in anything but analog consoles.
Yeah.
And I think I might just be, you know, too old to switch over, or too persnickety, or, you know.
Well, but maybe it's that whole thing when you know what works.
I know it works.
It's
I don't want to change it.
Like when things change, when the industry changes, when the tech changes, I think it can be great for us to embrace what's good about what's coming, but it can also be wise for us to hold on to what's great about what already worked.
I don't see that happening a lot. Whatever new technology comes by, people just embrace it, and it's setting us back, man.
Right.
To be honest, I
got the sense that we probably have lots to talk about the changes in music and the writing and composition, production, all of it, right?
You know, a couple of years ago, I kind of hit this point where I just don't care if I have another hit anymore. That's not my goal. I don't know if it was, you know, it was kind of my goal when I was starting out, but now I just want to make music that I connect with, and it ain't on the radio. You know, it's not the top 10 playlists. That's not music I connect with.
Yeah.
It's
so you do a lot of country music, right?
I'm trying to get away. I'm trying to, you know, yeah, I've had a really great career in country music, but I'm really starting to attract indie artists. I know that's a broad term, but more organic, more experimental kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make like Chad Blake records. Do you know who Chad Blake is?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I should start a podcast and only talk about Hugh Padgham and Chad Blake.
I mean,
two very different styles, but those are my boys.
I still felt like for a really long time, Colossal Head was like the benchmark in the studio, you know?
Yeah. The Neil Finn, the first Neil Finn record, the first Finn Brothers record, just genius recordings, you know? I can't get over him. I don't know how the hell he did it. And even so much as now I'm kind of obsessed with like mid-century, 60s, 1966, you know, that kind of Esquivel records and stuff like that, you know?
Well, you're somebody that really has always loved the shit out of making music and records. So like, you know, whether it was just boldly jumping in and opening a studio or taking over a studio, you know, starting the Rukkus Room.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's, to me, that story of what you did. I mean, so Rockstars, Jamie and I were classmates. We were in college together, MTSU. We were in college together. We're in the same classes, enjoying the same shit, trying to figure out the same things.
I bought the CDs of his bands.
That's right, man. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
Damn right.
Yeah,
you got to support your friends, man.
You came back from Ohio or somewhere.
I bought it in Cleveland, Ohio when I was on spring break.
That's awesome. And, you know, and then, so when you see a friend from school who like jumps in and does a really big, bold move, like purchasing or taking over the lease on, or however you did it, a massive studio,
opening a recording studio after the music industry crashed.
Yeah, and it wasn't like because I and many other people would understand this idea of like, you know, jumping in slowly, one step at a time, home studio first, build it and grow it from there. And you did this really bold move, and I
already had the clients. I think I would have lost my clients if I went the home studio route.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So I was just looking back. I realized how fortunate I was. Like I hooked up with the right people, and it just all worked out.
Yeah.
Of course, my enthusiasm was like at a constant 100%, you know, never ending enthusiasm for recording. My like loads of laundry would not get done because I was in the studio. Well, right? Remember those days?
Absolutely.
You're still living them.
I mean, I'm kind of still living it. And I will be honest that starting the video aspect of this podcast just reignited excitement for me about the whole thing, because it just took the work that I was doing for an audio podcast and multiplied it times 10.
Oh, good. More work for you.
Yeah, more work.
Still the same money though. Awesome.
Exactly. But the but it just makes it fun, you know? I mean, like I don't think we'd be doing any of this stuff if we weren't motivated by the excitement of
absolutely right.
The medium.
And it's not money. My motivation has never been money or making a hit record. It was just being the best damn engineer anybody could possibly be. I mean, to be honest with you, that was my goal since 6th grade. I want to be the best recording engineer like anyone, it was possible for anyone to be.
And
Isn't that crazy?
I don't remember having too much of a take other than our mutual, personalities when we were in school and we hadn't done anything yet.
Yeah.
But when I came back many years later and brought the artist Ryan Humbert and we worked together again and then you mixed, that's the moment where I caught a glimpse of like how good you had gotten at what you were doing.
See, I wish I could remix it because every 5 years I want to remix everything I've ever done. Does your style completely change every 5 years?
Totally, man, totally. And it's a weird combo where like, you know things you would do different, and then you also hear old things, and you're like, "How did I get that sound with that when I didn't have these tools? Then how did I get that sound?"
Yeah, I need to go back to doing that. That was cool. That caught my ear. Yeah, the zeitgeist right now is kind of strange. Of course, take it from my perspective. I was in corporate country music.
Yeah.
If there's a deeper level of hell, I'm not sure what it is, but I've been there for 30 years, nonstop, working 6 days a week. For 30 years in corporate country.
And correct me where I'm wrong, but when we started our careers, that corporate country music was still like maybe high level recording technique and full bands playing and everything. And as the career evolved, there's an element of like programmed bro country and things like that maybe has changed
it's pushed me away. I don't mean to sound like I don't evolve because I do. My taste in music is so much more eclectic now than it ever has been in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to anything. And that was me in high school. If I found a record with a cool cover, I would buy it and listen to it and study it. I'm that way, but with a much wider genre of music. But man, I don't mean to, bite the hand, but by God, bro country. I know we're kind of over it. They don't call it that anymore, but it's still bro country.
Yeah.
Is there any worse music that's ever been made?
And I don't even know. It's because to me that evokes a writing style, but I'm also thinking about a production style.
Like, and
or it's like it's a mix between the elements of you got a sub in the trunk of your car and hip hop.
Every genre is a subset of hip hop now. You know what I mean? Maybe not Americana. Americana is where all the cool shit's happening. That's where I'm moving. Big flabby kick drums and, long beards and stuff. But yeah, bro country, man. Modern country music is, everybody uses the same little palette. A tiny little restricted same palette. 808s, the same lyrics. You can have a dartboard with 7 lines on it. Throw a dart. The same 7 lyrics that 7 lines that everybody uses for their songs. Throw a dart. You could write a song that way with the same 808s and finger snaps and whatever. Hyper compress the vocal and you got a bro country song. So success has nothing to do with music quality or writing quality. It's all about the celebrity now, and that's just really wearing me out.
Native Instruments introduces the new Complete 15 bundle featuring Contact 8, offering versatile synths, sampled instruments, and innovative effects. Perfect for creating everything from emotional scores to dance floor grooves. Contact 8 includes exciting new creative tools like chords and phrases for inspiration, the Leap tool for dynamic looping, and Conflux, a hybrid instrument blending organic and synth sounds. The Complete 15 bundle also includes updated Massive X and Guitar Rig 7 Pro and AI-enhanced Isotope Ozone 11. Use the code ROCK10 for 10% off at nativeinstruments.com. What's the stylistic difference in music production in the country world that exists now or that you've seen between male music and, female artists? Male artists and female. Is it still similar production stuff?
No, because the female artists are so much more interesting and adventurous. The male artists are, can I say boring?
You can say whatever you want.
Okay,
you're making
it's my career. I'm
kinds of music.
This is why they don't ask me to speak in front of people, because I kind of say whatever I think, and the people who've made the bad decisions I'm berating are usually in the audience, so they don't ask me back. But female artists, for the last 20 years, have been far more adventurous. They're willing to take chances,
Where do you see that with artists that you're working with? And
they'll let me,
I'm not trying to get you to name drop stuff, but
well, you wouldn't. I'm working with indie artists. I kind of, I'll get into that later, but I'm working with intentionally independent artists. And they're willing to listen to anything, even some of the guys. I'm not belittling guys, but female artists, who I work mostly with females, just because I find it more interesting, the music that they're making.
Do you think you're just really good at recording a female voice too?
No, it's the subject matter of their songs. It's not superficial.
Are you just really sensitive? Are you just a sensitive guy?
I am. I'm lactating a little bit talking about this. The subject matter, they're in touch with their emotions more. They're not just like, oh, girl, need that.
I want to do a band that's just good. Those were the lyrics right there.
Need that, hit that,
girl.
Right?
That sounds like a fun session, actually.
And then that could be a hit song. Then some females, they know they're in touch with their emotions. And I think now that I'm older and not a 20-year-old dude just chasing girls anymore, I have a little bit more thought in my head than that. I'm kind of on the wavelength of a 20-year-old female now. I have the emotional maturity of a 20-year-old girl.
Have you cried on a session?
I have.
Have you really?
I have.
Like tears hitting the keyboard?
Yeah,
Tears in the fader. Is there a song called Tears in the Fader?
Oh wow, that would be a specific audience, but man, it could be a hit.
Could be.
In our own little bubble here. Tears on my fader.
I've gotten really emotional on sessions.
Have you?
Yeah. And
what caused it?
Well, the funny thing was, I don't know if it was a recording session of music in the studio. I think it was actually working with high schoolers as part of a nonprofit that I would go in, and the kids would write these poetry slam poems, and some of the kids were, they were encouraged to write from experience, and their experiences were like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So this is like, writing about people losing a cousin in a drive-by shooting who's sitting next to you on the porch and things like that. So pretty heavy stuff.
I do something with veterans. I do a lot of work with veterans. And those stories, they tell them, they fly in veterans who, some of them with guns in their mouths. They'll fly them in, set them up with like professional writers. They go over to the Opry House, do a full day of writing. They'll have 30 rooms set up. Mm-hmm. And then the next day we'll come and record it at my place. And some of those, you don't pay attention to lyrics on those sessions because they'll crush you.
Wow.
Crush you. And the level of songwriting, the subject matter is just off the charts on these sessions. And these are Nashville writers helping these veterans write these things. And they step up their game. They're learning from these veterans. I'm just telling you. The veterans think that they're doing them a favor. No. These writers are learning from the veterans.
So they're paired up with writers to help kind of keep everything corralled.
Yeah, like big name writers. Name a big writer, they're part of this. They're all my buds, so we just started doing it at my place. And
if I have to name a big writer, we're in trouble.
Oh yeah,
but I get to be the question guy. I get to ask the question.
See, you're in a different world. Nashville is so cool because there's the Christian world, there's the indie world, there's the country world, there's the rock scene. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. And they're totally separate, aren't they?
They can be for sure. I mean,
they don't overlap much.
Let me think. I'm thinking of like intersection with country. Obviously, I have had a lot of guests on the show. I mean, now that it's almost 500 interviews.
You see how you dropped that number? Yeah. 500. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. That's good.
As we cross the 3 million download mark.
Seriously? Wow, dude. See what I mean? We've come a long way since Murfreesboro.
Man. It was 2,999,999. Am I going to just your episode? Pretty impressive, right there. By the way, so Rockstars, we get nice thing about doing videos. We get these. Some of my guests are expressive as I am too. So if you see Jamie's hand fly in front of my camera, you just know we're live right here in the show.
Oh my gosh! I'm so sorry.
That's all right. Ding, ding, ding. There it is. Sorry. There it is. You should do one of these. I crush your head. I crush your head. There you go.
Yeah, I missed because I like you.
So let's see. All right.
You asked if I got teared up in the studio. Yeah. Yes, there is a story that I will make up on the spot. No, we were tracking a song for this girl I'm producing. She wanted to be the first Black female country artist with the #1, and we were so close to being there. And
has that not existed until?
Not until Beyonce this year. This was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she wrote. I did like 15 songs with her, and knowing that we were going to pick the best 5 or 10 or whatever, and she wrote the one. Right? She brought it in. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's up to us to not screw this up, right? I have the band there. I have my favorite musicians in town. We track it. they play the first take and it's so close to being right. So everybody takes out their cell phones, films them. I was going to make this whole, in studio thing. And they nailed it. They got it. It's like one of the things I'm proudest of in my entire career. I kind of, shed a tear too. I was going through some health stuff at the time, so it might have had a factor in it, but we nailed it.
I will say that, man. I do think our emotional responses to things are often connected to our own experiences.
But also our maturity, right? Our age, our life experience. For some reason, my whole world opened up to, emotions a couple years ago.
So you talked about being a first Black woman to have would you say a number one or just a hit in country music?
Yeah.
So my immediate question was, what about Elizabeth Cotton, who wrote Freight Train? I don't know that she ever had a hit
English,
for that.
Though, right?
Oh, was she English?
I think so. By the way, I love, if it's the song I'm thinking of, it's at the end.
Freight train.
Yeah, it's at the end of
so
that movie.
Oh, did I just flag us on YouTube? I don't know. I sang a little half a melody there.
Just retune your vocal to another melody. We're used to doing that. I love that recording.
Yeah.
What was the name of that? Spike Jones. It's not Spike Jones. Anderson.
Oh, Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson. It's at the end of his newest movie.
I don't know. I don't know if it's current. I don't know it. But
yeah, it was at the end. It was during the credits, and that's, to be honest, that's where I heard it for the first time. I bought the soundtrack just for that song because the recording. My God, nothing excited me for months before that. The recording of that is just brilliant. Didn't sound American though. It sounds like an old rockabilly song.
Was it was it an actual original recording that was used in the end of the film? Or
I mean, it's vintage. It's it's 70 years old, 60 years old. But it wanted to sound like Elvis, wanted to sound like Sun Records, but it didn't. It sounded more like a Zombies record.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, what is this?
Was it band and stuff like that, or was it just
it sounded more like a Joe Meek production.
Acoustic.
No, it was with a band, and just the way the drums were recorded. I don't know how they did that. And that is an obsession I'm going through, and it's taxing on my mental health because I'm so obsessed with how they recorded stuff in the mid 60s. But that's so crazy that you mentioned that song, because that is kind of what started it.
Well, let me see here. I don't have I don't even know where I put my reading glass. Oh, there. It's a little hard for me to jump right into this. So she was 1895 to 1987, according to AI Overview. Yeah.
Wow.
And she wrote the song in her early teens between 1906 and 1912. So my uncle used to play it on a nylon string guitar, and I grew up hearing him play that. It's like became kind of this classic finger-picked, cowboy tune or something or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know, cowboy, obviously.
So did she personally have a hit with it? I don't
know.
I usually know this
far
stuff.
Back.
I'm kind of embarrassed. She picked one song that I love and I don't know the history.
It just came to mind. Okay, I'm definitely I'm not no musicologist.
Meteor City, is that the name of the movie?
Wes
Anderson.
Oh, it was in that one.
It was at the credits, yeah.
Where it's like
I'm not sure it's her, but that song, I don't pay attention to the celebrity aspect of music. I just know the kick drum sound. That's the celebrity to me,
Exactly.
So yeah, that's that, hey, by the way, I'm going to be listening to a lot of stuff, make a list of stuff to listen to. And after this podcast is over.
Oh yeah. And now we're in the world of comments. So Rockstars, if you're listening to this and you know more about,
well, everybody knows more about this song than
so
I do,
drop a comment and let us know.
I love it more than you do.
Let us know. If you're smarter than me, let me know in the comments.
That's what the internet's for, right?
Exactly. All right. Well, so jumping back forward to the kind of what's new in the studio topic, I'm, of course, rewinding way back when I'm like, oh, Pro Tools was a new thing. What are some other things that are new in the studio, like as far as, the tools and the production in the studio itself?
The tools-wise, is that a sentence? Tools-wise?
And by the way, you mentioned Joe Meek. That was... So Jamie was one of the first people, maybe the only person I knew that actually had Joe Meek outboard gear in the studio, and you're mixing through it.
I may have told this before. There was a Jellyfish album, and remember Jellyfish Spilt Milk? It's like my favorite record ever.
I just rediscovered it recently.
Oh, those sounds, amazing, just genius. It sounds like Pet Sounds with Henry Mancini and Queen. It's just this great record. Song number 2 or album number 2 to listen on your list. Pet Sounds, Jellyfish, 1993. So I called up. I called. It was Jack Joseph Puig who did that.
Nice.
And then he did another record called Tonic Lemon Parade. The band was Tonic. The album was Lemon Parade. They had this song called Open Your Eyes. Open up your eyes. That's the wrong key, but I can't hit the right key. So I called him. This is 1994, 5, 6, somewhere in there. I called the dude and he called me back. I'm on the phone with Jack Joseph Puig. The month he's on the cover of VQ magazine, he's on the phone with me for 2 hours. And I asked him specific questions about the Tonic record that hadn't come out yet, but I found a copy over here at Phonolux. It hadn't come out. I found a promo copy 6 months before the record came out. And I dissected that record. It's genius. It's I know I'm saying that a lot. It really honestly is. He never quite matched that level of chaos again, controlled chaos in his mixes. So I'm asking him specific questions, and he said it was a Joe Meek compressor. So sure as hell, I'm on the phone. I'm getting a Joe Meek compressor. I've one of the first 50 in the country, and did some stuff. Got the Grammy. Recorded all the vocals for Grammy event or vocal event of the year through it, and I get an endorsement. So I have walls of Joe Meek, and I learned how to use them. Right.
And so the compressor
really
was
slow
vocal stuff, or did you put them on drums, or they're like
drums,
all over the place?
Piano gets that real cool "Let It Be," you know, that kind of sound. Really slow, unwieldy kind of weirdness compressor. The plugin doesn't sound anything like it. The plugin is boring. These are full of life. I don't know. They're just crazy compressors. I still love mine. You know, every mix I do goes through one. So I have walls of them. But you're asking about now. I'm kind of going back to that. Can you see a trend? I'm going back. So
the past is the new future.
The past is the new future. You know, I'm buying
that.
You've heard of Audioscape, of course. You've heard of Audioscape, Chris and all those guys.
Yeah,
they're making these compressors that are, you know. I bought one of the stay levels. They don't call it a stay level. They call it, I don't know, something else. I bought one of their LA2As, and to be honest, that was my first Verimute compressor, was that stay level, and it's doing stuff that I don't know why it's doing it, and it's just so cool. It sounds, you know, it sounds like an old radio station.
Is it the VComp Plus? VComp Plus.
Yeah, that's it. The deluxe.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember to Google things when we're in the middle of an episode. Get answers when we want them. Real-time answers.
Real-time answers.
Yeah, soon it'll be me, a guest, and our AI bot.
Oh, God. My AI bot's at home folding my laundry. I didn't have time to do since 1995.
Right.
Do you have any other stuff?
My AI bot is at home polishing my platinum, my Bitcoin record.
my Bitcoin platinum records.
Apologies to all the AI bots out there.
Yeah. We don't want to hurt your feeling. I'm kind of going there. I have a, Fairchild 660 on order. I'm going back to that stuff.
Nice, man.
If I could find a tube console, I would buy it. I want it to be 1966 so bad that it hurts me.
Yeah. So part of that is having it's a good reminder to us too. So part of it is discovering what we like. Then it's okay, what does that sound like? Then it's okay, what tools actually get us some of those sounds so that we can assemble the right toolbox and start making those sounds.
There's this great documentary on Rush. I'm not a huge Rush fan, but I really loved the guys. And after you watch this Beyond the Lighted Stage, I think it's called, it's this documentary, it came out a few years ago. You fall in love with the guys. And there's a point where Neil Peart's I was doing all this, he's doing all this intricate math work, and he's like, I hated it. I want to get back to basics. So he took drum lessons. Neil Peart took drum lessons, and I apologize to all the people who call him Peart. I just can't do it. Neil Peart took drum lessons from an old jazz player to get back to basics. And boy, I didn't realize what I was doing, but that's what I'm doing now. I've worked so much in commercial music, hit, in your face mix, that I'm just, you ever been around a friend who just talks so much, and at the end of the day, you're just exhausted and you've barely said a word? Mm-hmm. That's what my mixes were doing to me. I know how to make a mix just real in your face and immediate and punchy and loud. I mix in exclamation points,
That's great.
Right? I just came up with that. That's pretty good, actually.
Like going down
that should be on my business card. That's the way I hear stuff. But I'm kind of getting tired of it. I'm glad I have the skills to do it. I'm glad I've worked 30 years to be able to do that reliably. You know, I can make anything sound like that. But I want to do what they did back in 66. I keep going back to that year because Revolver came out. But
that's the year of Revolver.
She said is my. That's it.
Are you recording your own music or other people's music in your studio, but you're having trouble figuring out how to get your mixes to sound great? Do they sound weak and distant or lack punch and clarity? Well, I've got a gift for you to help you take your mixes from sounding like basement demos to sounding a lot more like professional mixes. And it's my free course called Mix Master Bundle. This course will show you how to get pro-sounding mixes from your home studio with free and stock plugins in Pro Tools. And the best part is these mixing techniques will work for you in any DAW, whether you're in Logic, Cubase, PreSonus Studio One, Reaper, or anything you can think of. Are you ready to make your best record ever? Then go to mixmasterbundle.com to get started for free now, and you can find the clickable link in the show notes of this episode. Describe what, so from memory, what are the sounds in he said, she said? She said.
All right, it was the last song that they had. They just, it was an add-on to the end of the album. They went into Studio C, 3 at Abbey Road, not their usual studio. It was a real late edition. They did a quick session. I remember talking to Jeff Emmerich about it. I'm not name dropping. I collect these old guys. I love talking with him. And he said he hated the sound of it. It sounds sloppy to him, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but that's the coolest. You can hear that Fairchild on the cymbals. You know, it's every great thing about the Beatles. The guitar tone is just so amazing. The song it's not just a good song, it's cool. You know how hard it is to write a good song? Do you know how hard it is to write a cool song that is also cool? Rain and She Said.
And that's the one where Ringo kind of is almost doing like a Keith Moon thing on all the fills, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of little short bursts.
Yeah, which probably helps. That's a good match with the compressor.
Just pump away. Yeah. And I've gotten in trouble my entire career because I've made my cymbals pump intentionally. I like that big bombastic drum sound, which is completely not in right now. Small, teeny little kind of drum sounds are in right now, even if they're real drums. Is
that because, again, hip hop where it's like kick is ginormous and then snares are just quick and short?
I think it's because I think, well, it's a number of factors. People don't know how to record drums anymore because they don't need to. Mm-hmm. But I think it started because we started recording at home, you know, and you put a mic in front of a drum, it's not going to sound like crap until you process the crap.
Man, those people who like encourage everybody to do home studio. Oh, wait, that was me.
But, you know, a kick drum is going to sound like crap when you put a mic in it unless you suck out wherever that, 250, whatever that is, you sweep around.
Yeah, dude, I learned sucking out the 250 of a kick drum from you.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
we did that Ryan Humbert record, and I was like, what'd you do to the kick drum?
And you said, sweep it around till it tightens up, and there's your sound. You know?
You just said, I just sucked a lot of 250 out. And I'm like, how much? And you're like, I don't know, like 12 dB or something.
Yeah.
Then after that, I was like, I'm going to start trying that. And
same with toms.
That's crazy.
Big bombastic
but part of it, like, just to riff on that for a sec, because I've thought about them, like, what is it about that pulling out that sound? And I think it also sucks out a little bit of the basketball that's in a kick.
Yeah, the doingy.
Or something,
Yeah, but now, lately, I've been adding last 10 years, I've been adding what most guys cut. I've been adding a lot of 300 hertz. I'm in this love affair with 300, 350.
It's that kind of 60s zone too.
Maybe.
Right? It's like a shift in big, tones thick, for kick and bass and everything too.
Warm hug of a, brown sound in there. I love it. I'm doing a lot of mastering now, and just to keep my ears, it's a workout for my ears doing mastering. And a lot of stuff needs like 275 or 300 or 225, somewhere in there. There's always a little deficiency. And once I'm talking like half a dB. I rarely go full dB, but it just plumps it up. You could send it off and they'll be happy.
Yeah. So Rockstars, I think it was at some point in 2020, 21, 22 or something like that, where I got a message from Jamie and he was like, hey dude, I found I've been playing around and having fun in headphones, like maybe Odysseys or something that you had on. And
Sennheisers.
650s. Yeah, and you were like mastering at home for fun, and you're like, I found your recording from school
Hannibal the Cannibal.
Hannibal the Cannibal, and mastered it, and he said, you sent it to me, and I was like, dude, this sounds amazing. So
I was
great,
like,
thanks.
I kind of worship really good recordings and awesome songs. You know, I collect those things. The more obscure, the better. Not that that drives
Well, I'm glad
me.
we made the category. It might have helped that I was still in school, so maybe it helped stand
I just
out a
remember
little
you
bit.
telling us that you recorded some of the vocals, you pumped them through headphones, put it in a trash can, and mic'd the trash can. And
Dude, I took the guitar solo, I recorded it out of an amp, ran it through the console, fed it into a pair of headphones, dropped it in the bottom of a long cylindrical trash can, and then stereo mic'd the top of the trash can just because that sounded like a fun thing to do.
what was the artist's name?
We were called Moon Biscuit.
No, but what was was it Matt?
No, it was Moon Biscuit. So let me think what else you would have filed it under. Well, Ben
That's it.
was our bass player. Ben Morton and then this was back from college.
I have it on my phone. I just can't type it. It's on my phone. I listened to it in the car. It came up the other day, honestly.
What do you, so do you get critical about how things sound in your car? Do you have a way to listen, or do you
I picked my car out. Somebody ran a stop sign a few years ago, totaled my good Honda. So I got a new car. I'm 6'6", so I have to buy a car. First of all, if I fit in it. Second of all, if the stereo sounds good.
Yeah.
So I got a stereo that. What
did you choose as a good stereo?
Well,
or what car has a good stereo?
I have a BMW X4, 3. So I don't know what the hell it is. It's black. The stereo in there is just remarkable. It's like neutral. What car stereos are neutral? They're usually either too dark or too bright.
Yeah. A lot of car stereos to me just sounded
Hyundai sound like tin cans.
I did hear the Mercedes when I was in LA. I heard
That's a whole different
Mercedes that
brother.
had the Atmos system in it and everything, and it was pretty wild. You know, it's even got like thumpers for your back and stuff, and it sounded pretty good. But I will tell you, when I chose my car, which is again it's the Tesla, I think people think that I got it because I'm like save the world. I was like, no, it just had the best sounding stereo. When I was walking on the lot, I got it, and I was like, what the hell is this?
Right.
And I loved it so much. I was like, I got it. That looks
The car
cool.
test is still the gold standard, isn't it?
Yeah. For me, I just like, listen, I do have to be careful. I can't go around cranking up music in the car as long of a length of time as I used to enjoy, because otherwise.
Because of the neighbors or because of the
my
ears?
ears, man.
They got the tinnitus.
Yeah, I got to be, I just have to be, I've learned, like, as I get older, I have to be very selective about. I'm like, okay, I've got a short
it's a special
window.
treat, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a short window for loud. Got to do loud, but I can't push that boundary. It's like drinking. I can't, can't put, if I do even, a hint of what I used to, I'll be miserable and hungover for a couple of days.
Yeah.
So,
I've learned, so I'm there again, I'm not name dropping, but when I was young, around college age, 94 or something, Bob Clearmountain was in a studio I was wiring. He was out at Sound Kitchen. I was wiring one room, he was in the other room. Or was it Sound Kitchen? Hell, I don't know. But he was in there and he was mixing a Toto record. And it was so quiet. You could fart and cover up the sound. And I did.
You could also clear the control
I could clear the control room. Yeah, that's good. So I asked him, why do you mix Mr. Clearmountain? Right. And he told me, Bob Clearmountain's talking to me, much less answering my questions. He told me everything sounds great loud. You got it balanced when you're really quiet. Man, it's going to sound rocking when you're loud.
Yeah.
That's not quite true, but you learn how to do, there's a few little hurdles to that. But once you get the hang of it, which I did early in my career, I learned how to listen very, very quietly and make everything happen for me.
That was the thing I noticed when we were doing the Ryan Humbert record as I walk in the control room.
Frustratingly low, isn't it?
Yeah. And then I was like, what's that all about? So then I got curious. And I also noticed that you had things sounding really good. I think one of the challenges for me up until recently, and for many people, is most control rooms aren't quiet enough to do that in.
Yeah. But I have the fan for my console is slightly sharper than an F sharp, and it drives me nuts. It's always out of tune.
What's it doing in the control room?
Well, it's out in the hallway, but the door's open to let some cooler air in.
Yeah.
So it's always going, and I find that I need something to work off of. like when my studio manager vacuums,
Right.
I get a lot of work done when there's a vacuum running in the room and I'm listening
you're sort
quiet.
of like balancing against and
If
competing.
I can't hear it while that vacuum's running or my fan's going, you can't hear it in the mix. So that's why my mixes get really, really tightly compacted, so I don't have to compress them as much.
My litmus test for this podcast for a long time was like, I need to try and find a way to record and mix so that if I put it on speakerphone on the iPhone and then you're running water in the kitchen, you can still hear everything.
That's
you don't lose your
road
don't
noise
lose
does the
voices.
same thing, which is why I think the car test is kind of still valid.
And then for me, the test on this would be turning while driving, being able to turn the podcast down really low.
Yeah.
So it's not like loud to listen to, but you don't miss a word.
Yeah. You had every time I've listened, you always have these things sounding great.
Thanks. Well, again, and then part of the challenge was like, all right, if I'm going to go to video, I don't want to lower the bar on the audio. So how do I do that?
Yeah. Are you doing all your same processing with video?
Well, so the Pro Tools can't handle video files in that way. So unless the video is completely finished and then you're in there, it can do it. But and I'm not convinced it doesn't struggle a little bit, at least my system. But Reaper, oddly enough, surprisingly, handles video files and audio files. So I think I can do the mixing, still cut between video and you hear me, Rockstars. I'm describing what I think I can do with the video podcast.
That we're in,
I'm showing you
recording.
That, this is like before I've figured it all out. So.
Oh, sorry, I did that again.
If it turns out good. So let us know when, if you're dropping a comment in, let us know if we got any of the sound right. Hopefully we did. All right, cool. Well, let's see what else, where am I jumping to next, man? Anything else new in the studio?
Oh yeah. It's just a bunch of old stuff, to be honest. It's, there's another company. I mentioned Stam. I have their 660 on order. I ordered a 67 from them 17 years ago. I got it a few days ago. Frustrating company, but they make good stuff. And Josh is just a sweetheart of a guy. Joshua. Audioscape is great. I don't know these people. I don't owe them anything. I'm just mentioning it because I think it will help other people. These are legitimate companies making stuff that I call new vintage.
Yeah.
In 20 years, this stuff is going to be, I think it's going to hold their value because it's good quality stuff.
Yeah.
What they're doing is, I couldn't afford, most people can't afford an LA2A. Everybody needs an LA2A, don't they? I don't know, maybe not. Should. It's one of the.
I think it's a good thing to have.
Let's talk about 11. Everybody needs an 1176.
Yeah.
Everybody needs 17 1176s, if not more. But to buy one from Universal Audio costs this much. And what these companies do is they take that celebrity aspect of the Universal label, right, off, and they sell it to you for, I don't know how they're doing it that low. You can't buy parts for as cheaply as they're giving you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I know that
I guess bulk.
I know that it's a challenge for various companies as far as balancing,
But
keeping
I think they're doing
it's kind of like the music creation. It's like you got to,
yeah.
It requires something to keep the bar high.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do race to the bottom kind of thing. So
They're not doing race to the bottom. That's what's so remarkable about them. I couldn't mention the other company that is kind of a race to the bottom. I think they've upped their standards now, but Audioscape, their prices are the same as that other company who kind of, races to the bottom. Their stuff is very warm sounding, but it's just not. I don't know what Audioscape is doing, but they've made they have magic wands or something. They're taking the celebrity aspect out of it. They're lowering the prices so people can get this gear.
Yeah,
it's amazing, cool remarkable
and
gear.
I've had a chance to play around with them because they'll usually have a great display booth at NAMM, and so I'll go
the other company
listen to stuff, and it always sounds awesome to me.
One of the things I bought recently, a couple of years ago, that I absolutely fell in love with. If the building was on fire, it may be the thing that I grab, as my coil mic pre. There again, I don't know these people. I have no association with them. I'm just letting you know this is this gear is really good. I've fallen in love with it. It is the most wide open, hi-fi, beautiful sounding mic pre I've ever heard in my life. It's got the knee warm. It's got the big bottom, but that top end is just it goes. The frequency responses to light. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There is no top end limit to it. It's just
so. Let me ask you this question: when you think about different brands and makes of mic pre's and things like that, you also have a console. What do you find? Where do you end up about mixing and matching, and which do you find that certain mic pre is great for a certain instrument, and you mix?
It's not like I have unlimited budget. I just have gear that I've racked, that's stacked up over the last 30 years. So I'm using like Tridents and, more solid state stuff for my drums. And
because it's just got a solidness to attack and stuff like that.
The transient response. It's not as murky, Tube gear. Tube gear is pretty clean now. It's not quite murky and gushy enough for me, but it's beautiful sounding.
You saw the Ampex mic pre's I have down the studio. Those are gushy and tubey.
Are they? Because I've never used one. I would love to.
They got a cool, I
bet.
You almost can't put a condenser in it. It just
oh really
kicks the. Yeah, in fact, I got them modded, so it's the MX10 or 35 is the model, I think, and it was like the 4-channel tube.
Yeah.
Ampex with the big knobs.
Yeah.
And I guess they were originally designed to pair up with a tape machine or something.
They're
like
amplifiers for tape machines.
Yeah. And so for a dynamic mic, they seem to work great. And then I was like, I should put phantom power on them and phase flipping so I can mix and match mics for rock guitars. And the first time I put condensers on and tried to put anything loud in it, it was just like, forget about it. I was like, all right, well.
I think they were made for, I don't know, I'm not a tech, but, for more like for ribbon mics and stuff. Aren't Ampex mic pre's tuned a little brighter?
Those are not very bright.
They're not. Oh, not those. Okay, others might be
too. And
okay.
Depending on age and.
I wish I had more experience with them. The coil has this negative feedback dial. It was kind of everybody used the same ish design, Gates or RCA or whatever, and they voiced them differently. So I have a Gates mic pre, I have an RCA mic pre, all in this one box.
What's a negative feedback dial? Is that a compression?
No, it just
setting, or is that
there again? You're asking questions and everybody.
It's just as a mic pre. It's got this thing called
essentially what it does is it adds more top end. It reduces the top end. It kind of dampens the top end.
Right.
It's not really an EQ. It just kind of dampens it or makes it more wide open.
Yeah.
So it's
okay.
Usually it's a pot inside the box, and the guy who had coil decided to put the knob on the front, and it was a wise choice. So I kind of have like tape alignment controls for my tone control on it. You got this low end that doesn't really, a low end EQ that doesn't really, it just kind of moves the low end forward and back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very broad, which is kind of how I work.
Yeah.
So,
that's cool.
And I do a lot of work with no, that was a horrible joke. I shouldn't say it.
It's fun to get into that stuff too. And then like when you start discovering new sounds, especially if you've been in a studio.
Oh, you get tired of your own sounds.
With the sound and the space, and then you discover something new in there. It's exciting. I hear that guy's
snare drum again. I'm going to shoot that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that guy's me. I have to discover something else to do. So every couple of years, I take my patch bay, I unplug it all, and if I was using that on the snare drum, I'm not using that on the snare drum anymore. I just totally shift it around. So you know what happens?
Where's a good place to start with that move? Is it in a mix setting where you
No. I take mixes. For me, I take mixes too seriously. So it's tracking.
Just try recording through a different channel.
If I use that on this, I'm not going to use that on this anymore. And you know what happens? About a month, I have it all sounding exactly the same. It ain't about the gear. None of this is about the gear. I buy gear to keep me interested, to keep my brain floating in these endorphins.
Exactly.
Right? Don't you do the same thing? I'm tired of using my 47 on vocals, so I'm going to buy a 67. Come on, really?
Well, to me, it's just guitars. It's like you've got guitars. You get your favorite guitar.
Yeah, guitars.
But it's like kind of fun to get a new instrument. Why not?
Of course. Yeah, it sits differently in your hand. You might write a different kind of song or something. It's really great.
iZotope is truly amazing for mixing and mastering your music. Like the new iZotope Plasma plugin featuring flux saturation, which helps you sculpt the harmonics in your sound, enhancing the excitement and clarity of your tracks and mixes. And Ozone, with its built-in mastering assistant, helps you analyze your mix, suggesting all the settings you need for a professionally mastered result based on your chosen style of music and EQ curve, or reference a specific song if you want. Ozone features sophisticated yet simple modules like clarity and impact, low-end focus, stabilizer, imager, exciter, and spectral shaping, along with powerful dynamic EQ, compression, and limiting, allowing you to adjust the settings to your taste so it sounds incredible. And with the magic of master rebalance, you can even manipulate the vocal, bass, and drums separately at the mastering stage. Use the code ROCK10 to get 10% off Plasma, Ozone, RX, or any of the fantastic plugins at iZotope.com. Hey, Rockstars, we're back now for the jam session, aka the second half of the show, aka I don't really know why I continue to call it that, but are you ready to jam?
It's the third half of the show.
This is the third half of the show. Oh, yeah, my guest today is Jamie Tate joining us.
I'm
here at, what's the name of my studio?
My studio?
No, this one.
Oh, I don't know. Lij,
What should we call it?
Oh, you haven't named this place yet?
No, not yet.
I don't know.
Rockstars, if you can think of one, drop it in the comments.
I'm usually really good at
We
this.
tried naming it Podzilla and Pod Damn It.
Pod Damn It's good.
But
They've
finally
been
one
taken?
day I was like, I should search. And of course, they're both gone.
Yeah, all the good puns are taken, right?
All of them, yeah. So if you think of a better one, let us know. Well, so what's like, what else is new for you? Any new artists or bands you've been working with that you really
There's a band.
about?
This is a cool story. My studio manager, who is also a great bass player, Cedric Israel, lovely, lovely guy. I'm very fortunate to have him. He lives in Hermitage. He was at the old Pizza Hut in Hermitage, which is now a bar. And he was just there listening. There were three guys on stage, and they were blowing him away. And he's looking around going, what is this? Am I getting punked? Where's that Ashton guy? He's like, these guys,
Right.
they're putting on a stadium show in an
In a
old
Pizza Hut.
that, was a Dollar Tree, and then it was an insurance company, and now it's a bar, And he's like, what's going on? So he talked to him. He brought him in. They live in Asheville, North Carolina. Is that North Carolina?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of good musicians and music.
Yeah,
coming from
there's
there.
quite a scene there for some.
Have you ever been to Asheville?
Yeah,
Have
it's
you gotten a
lovely.
chance to visit Echo Mountain Studios?
No, I've heard of it.
You'd
though.
like it.
I've seen it in the magazines.
You would like it.
Or the websites, or the social media posts, however you see stuff nowadays. Anyway, so he brought him in, we talked, and I got it. I totally get it. It's three guys. Each one could be a solo artist, right? But they've come together. They've tried the solo thing. It didn't, nothing quite caught on. And they came together, and, it's like Paul and John. There's stuff they did together is better than the stuff they did separately, and it just kind of worked. We got along great. And we started recording stuff, and the first song, I went nuts. They did everything I told them to, and it was like this amazing thing. And then I won them over. But they were on America's Voice Got Talent.
What are they called?
Ashes and Arrows.
Ashes and Arrows. And how would you describe the style of music of this?
Well, it depends on what song you're listening to. Because remember, I'm looking for something new to grasp onto. So every song we do is a little different. One's like Pink Floyd Metals era. One is like Trevor Rabin, 1991 cock rock. Another is like a soul song. It's just, I'm really trying. I'm expanding my horizons willingly with them. It's an amazing combination.
Yeah,
they were on America's, one of those game show. The America's Voice Got Talent.
Yeah.
I don't watch those shows because I'm morally opposed to them, what they do to these poor kids, but they did really well. Simon didn't like them, which is always a good sign that they're great. But we did a song called Our Song Remains the Same. I don't know if it's released yet. Maybe by the time this comes out, it will be, but it's an important song to me and to them, but I think that's where I discovered Merc and Gush. You know what I'm talking about? Like well, there again, he's talking about the 60s again, people. Drink. They used to have what I call Merc and Gush in these old 60s recordings.
Right.
Stuff molding together and the compressors pushing stuff away.
Right.
And I got it, a hint of it at least. And it's all about those Verimute compressors I've been buying. It sounds like it could be from, Pink Floyd Metal record.
Is a little bit of that sound the bleed of sound in rooms with microphones open, or is it more the way it's interacting with compressors and something with each other?
It's the way it's interacting with the compressors. And I imagined I recorded it on an 8-track, and I grouped a bunch of stuff together on my console and sent the groups out through a Verimute compressor.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of, blends and molds itself to the music around it, which is, it's like the music is living and breathing. It's not just stagnant multi-band compressor. I'm sticking you, with glue onto the wall right there, and there you shall stay.
Right.
It moves.
Right.
It's just this beautiful thing. We did Our Song Remains the Same is one I'm really proud of. Pirates, another song we did, Wild Horses. They're all just, I'm so proud of that stuff. I worked real hard on it.
It's really fun when you get to work on records that you just get excited about.
I think people are actually going to get to hear this because they made a name for themselves now. I don't know if they want a record deal. I doubt it. Most people I work with now run from record deals. It's been that way for about 10 years.
So they're a band that's been operating as an independent artist.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Like about 10 years ago, something clicked. And I would say, you know, if I have an artist that's great and we did something that's kind of special, you know when you hit it. You go, should we shop this? Let me call my friend over at blah, blah, blah record
That's
label.
what it used to be? Or
that's how it used to be. And about 10 years ago, they go, nah, I'm going to go on my own now. And I'm like, good for you. Awesome. I agree. Why did I offer to shop you to Big Machine where they're going to make you into a pop diva? No, don't do that. Be your own self. I love it.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, so then let's ask the question that might be on everybody's minds is, you know, when you have a studio, when you're producing and you find something you love and you want to work with them and stay outside of, you know, traditional financial structures or whatever, like a record label, what are some things that are smart? Do you even think about things like an arrangement or a deal? Do you just
I've never had
do
it
and don't worry about it? See what happens, kind of thing. Like what are your thoughts?
The other girl I was talking about, the black female country singer, the day of my cancer surgery, she sued me because of the production contract she and I signed.
Oh my gosh!
So
that doesn't sound like a good day.
No, it wasn't. The next day was great because they cut the cancer out of my butt, but. I had a contract. It's a standard. All I did was, if I get you signed to a major label over the next 10 years, I think I asked to produce 7 songs over 10 years. That was it. And she said, that doesn't sound like a lot. Let's move it up to 15. I'm like, okay. And she signed it. And 2 months later, she sued me for it. I've never had good luck with production contracts. I offered one. Well, I'm telling a lot of stuff out of school, but I don't have one with Ashes. I should. I deserve it. I don't. We mentioned it. They started running away. If you mention that kind of stuff, now people run. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not in it for the money, so I didn't care. I was hurt because it felt like my input into their success wasn't, seen as very worthy. But whatever. I know that when they, move on from me, stuff doesn't usually work out.
Well, I've had some experience with that stuff in the past, and it's going way back. Was the last time I ever messed with it. I
hate that. You not mess with it either?
So I spent the first 10 years of my career, first decade, working in pursuit of record label deals, and I was already in that kind of indie rock DIY.
I wish I would have started out more where you did, to be honest. Looking back, I'm not sure I'd have had the career, but I'm envious of where you started. You made a decision to start in that world, and you made the right choice.
It just was, I kind of pursued the things that interested me.
Yeah.
And maybe I like taking the difficult route too. I often do.
But I think it was more rewarding because you were recording stuff that was far more interesting and far more meaningful than anything I've had. I don't know how many number ones I've had. I've had 15. I don't know. I lost count. I can name like 2. They're meaningless to me.
Right.
Right. Horrible to say, right? It's just, I don't care about that stuff anymore. I never should have. And neither should you out there.
Well, I mean, not that we have to go back, do tit for tat on it, but you also, again, what I admired about you was there was an opportunity. There was because you were aligned with this music that was happening in a place like Nashville that really had a whole support system for that kind of music. It meant there was enough clients, there was enough work that you could dive in and start a studio like Ruckus.
Yeah.
If my story was a little more like I was in a cool studio and they were making records and working with artists I liked, but to set out on my own path meant, penny pinch your way through a home studio and see what you could come up with.
But look what you have now. Your studio is amazing.
That's true.
It was amazing 15 years ago, and now it's just astounding. My words are gonna get larger.
It's like stuff you do in this. When you do it for a while, you just kind of collect. hold on to things.
But he just showed me his new updated Carl Tatz, designed room, and I've been here since the beginning, since the walls caved in. Right? Remember that? I was here.
God.
Right? And that's the same building that I'm in. And he just played me some music in there, and it sounded so right and familiar immediately. I was comfortable in his control room because it sounds right.
Well, thanks, man.
Him. I'm seeing him. I'm talking to you, you understand what I'm saying. Lij's control room sounds right. It's gorgeous.
Well, Carl did amazing.
Yeah, you must have gotten the deal because I know how much he charges.
But and I think it helped a little bit. He also commented that he was surprised how well it turned out.
Yeah. He did.
I did when I made my control room. I remember with a little, enough I knew to get in trouble. I picked a golden ratio for the room, which was something like 12 by 17 by 8 or something like that. I remember it was like 3, 4, 5 ratios and stuff like that. I remember that from now.
Yeah, from
but it may have helped. Might have helped. I don't know.
Probably. Well, and Carl knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got the right mindset. Whenever I used to work at his studio, Recording Arts, right? He would you go in the fridge and all the Cokes would be facing forward.
Oh yeah, I've heard all those stories. And then people would go in and they'd spin the Cokes around just to mess with them.
Move a pencil ever so slightly to the left.
He knew it.
His radar went up. What? Somebody moved a pencil.
Well, here, let me straighten my pencils out right now. Speaking of which.
But I think we all have a little bit of that. That's why we're good at our jobs. You know, we have a little obsessive.
But, I did one of the first things I did to get out of the studio was and to kind of go in pursuit of producing a band the way I wanted to produce it. Right. And, pursuing that was, of course, the band didn't have money. So then it was just a verbal agreement. Hey, let's do a bunch of things, try and get it, make great demos with the intent that you're going to go get a deal. And then when you get the deal, how about you just reimburse me for all the time we put in?
Yeah, that's the problem. I never get the back end. Everybody offers me back end. I'm like, you're not going to pay me. This could go, you could sell 14 million records. Well, no, you can't now, but you could make a lot of money and I won't see a penny of that. Right. It just won't happen.
Yeah.
I've gotten burned 100% of the time.
That one did work out for me, but the back end was only
1990 what?
It was 99, 8.
The rules are different now. The money's so tight.
Yeah. Back then labels were still like throwing money at bands.
They still kind of are, but you got to be, I don't know. There was a guy somebody from Sony. We were working on a record deal for someone and he's like, man, he was talking about all the money they were making for streaming, like 12 million a month or something crazy. And I go, great. That means the budget's going to be big. He goes, oh, I didn't mean it like that. Implying, oh, it's not for you.
Right.
It's not for you people who make the content. It's, so
it's for the marketing department.
Yeah. It's the word content. Does the word content bother anybody else?
It doesn't bother me only because I'm literally like
content
doing
creator.
A YouTube channel.
It's got this stank to it. It's such a derogatory term to me. Are you a creative? Are you a content creator? No, I make music.
Yeah.
Content is like a Netflix show that doesn't get a second season because Corey Haim was in it.
Well, here we're not technically making music unless you and I start singing harmony together.
We sang already. You might get a copyright ding on this episode.
We don't want to get that.
No.
All right. Well, so let's see. And then you also, I know that we had talked about this off mic, but you do a lot of work with people that are probably like mixing and matching between home studio environments and then
that's what I want to talk about. So I'm doing a lot of mixing. I mean, mixing is my forte, right? And I get a lot of stuff from home studios. I did this really great record, something I'm very proud of, called Emerald City Council, prog rock. I mean, real heady kind of stuff. And it's kids from guys who were in Toto and Journey and Kansas, their kids got together and they recorded this album. Part of it started over the pandemic and it was just released recently. So it's been recorded over the period of 4 years, all at their home studios, drums and everything. So it was just this mishmash, and the bass track was consolidated with no crossfades on the edits. There are hundreds of ticks I had to draw out.
Oh man.
And the acoustic guitars.
Should have used Isotope.
Oh,
D-click.
Oh God. No, I used my pencil tool, just draw it right out. But the quality of tracks, I'm not talking about their tracks because I am so proud of that record. Emerald City Council, I don't know what the album's called, but go listen to it on your pocket telephone devices. It's honestly really great. It's got people from like Star Trek in it, and I don't know how he got all these people involved with it. the guy from Reanimator, the actor is in it. And anyway, really fun record. And it's my kind of stuff. I'm a big Yes fan. Genesis, King Crimson, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I did it, but it was all recorded at their houses, and I made it sound like a cohesive record. I'm doing another thing. Kenny Rogers' old band did a record, and they all recorded it at their house, and I mixed it, and the quality of tracks are just so different. It doesn't matter what mics or interfaces people use. They're recording it in their house. They're recording it in rooms with standing waves, or the air conditioner's on, so you have a huge, low end flutter in it.
Right.
But there are some things I noticed that like nobody does crossfades.
Right.
No, and then they consolidate the tracks. If you learn one thing from this podcast, never, ever, 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 never, ever consolidate tracks. Ever. Never.
Or
Ever.
just send the full session to the mixer you're sending.
100% of edits I get are wrong.
Rock your music production with the updated Complete 15 bundle from Native Instruments, featuring the new Contact 8. This comprehensive collection includes a fantastic range of versatile synths, sampled instruments, and innovative studio effects, giving you everything you need to bring your music to life. Whether you're composing emotional scores, deep dance floor grooves, or experimenting with sound design, Complete 15 has you covered. Discover powerful plugins and instruments that guide you from the initial idea all the way through to the final mix. The included Contact 8 introduces exciting new tools like chords and phrases for instant inspiration, the Leap tool for dynamic looping, and Conflux, a cutting-edge hybrid instrument that merges organic and synth sounds in real time. Plus, enjoy revamped versions of Massive X and Guitar Rig 7 Pro to take your sound to the next level. Then polish your mixes off with the AI-enhanced Isotope Ozone 11 included in Complete 15 bundle. Use the code ROCK10 for 10% off at nativeinstruments.com.
99.99% of edits I get are wrong. So for me to mix a song, it takes about 8 hours, and 4 of that are me fixing edits, right? Adding crossfades, fixing all of your problems. Topping and tailing, adding fades. Wherever there's an edit, you got to have a fade in, fade out, or a crossfade, because you're going from digital 0 to, even if it's just the noise floor mic, that's a 70 dB gain or 60, 50 dB gain. And with as much as we have to compress stuff nowadays to make it sound contemporary, competitive, I'm compressing so much because that's how I hear stuff. I love that sound, even though it wears me out. I got to compress it so much that any little flaw you hear, and that you missing a crossfade on the bass is going to be the loudest thing in the mix at that moment. Have you ever run into that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You have your compressors going, and then there's this tick. Sorry, just probably overloaded your mic. And it's the loudest thing because it's this like one sample full volume sound. So you got to fix it. And it takes hours and and it gets my mind out of mix mode to the point that it's hard for me to get back into the mix.
Yeah.
After, and don't record solo. People are, I'm getting stuff from studios here in town. Supposedly professional engineers are sending me stuff that peak at -30. You're dealing with the noise floor of the mic pre. So when you turn that up, right, it's just bringing all that noise floor. Neve mic pre's, I don't care if you have a Neve mic pre that costs you $8,000. If you're recording at -30, you're in the noise floor. That's an analog piece of gear, has a noise floor, And when I gain the level and then compress the snot out of it like I have to, all I'm getting is noise. I was over at Sterling. I'm good friends with the guys at Sterling, the mastering studio.
I will say also, it's a wonderful place.
And he was mastering something that Chris
was that Ryan Smith?
No, it was in Ted's room. Ted was mastering something. We were having lunch. He was mastering something that Chris mixed, and it was amazing. And then the vocal came in, right, really loud. I'm like, oh. He goes, yeah, and I'm like, low mic, mic pre level on the lead vocal. It was recorded by a big name here in town. As
that does raise a question. So one of the things we talked about, I think we mentioned it before or after, was this idea of like, as we get older, we have to be careful of our hearing, which means we might want to be selective about when we turn things up, and we might want to work at low volumes, which is great. But that's one of those areas where you need to turn it up. I find you need to turn stuff up sometimes to check it and check your work and make sure that you're not recording with that noise, because when it's turned down on playback,
you
might
can
not
tell
notice
because
it
it's. I mean, your mic pre's at it needs another 30 dB or 25 dB of gain. That's like several clicks up.
Yeah.
So the mic pre is sitting there stewing in its own self noise.
You think it's also signal chains that people are dialing in wrong,
It's
like
just
where they're
the
using
mic
mic
preset
and
too low.
compressor?
No, there's mic preset too low.
Are they using a compressor too?
No, they don't. These are interfaces that the people have at
Right.
home. You can't.
I see.
And these, I don't care if you use a Neve mic pre or the interface mic pre. It's you're floating in noise.
Do you have a suggestion for people to where the meter might want to land when you're recording?
What I've always done, I have an analog console, so I have VU meters, actual analog VU meters. So I know what level to record at. But in Pro Tools, man, hit it as hard as you can without going over. I don't know why people are so scared. I have overs in all my stuff.
Would you find that universal for everything? What about drums? Because don't sometimes the transients happen a little faster? But
you can catch those. My snare drum usually peaks around -0 or -1, -2.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know. They don't go over.
Yeah.
Vocals, I'm usually peaking around -3. Just give myself a little cushion. But you need the level to get up there, because I'm gonna have
thick part of the green line in your
I
Pro
can't
Tools
see colors, but just
really?
look at the peaks. Make sure the meter should be wiggling, and you shouldn't have to plump up your waveforms to see them.
Right.
I get tracks, they look blank. Seriously, these are full band recordings recorded at -30. I don't know how they're monitoring. Their faders must be jacked up all the way, all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So when you plump them up, you're hearing dither noise and stuff at the end, the little chop off, the anti-aliasing kind of crap.
I feel like for us, as far as since some of these sometimes feel like an amorphous zone that we're supposed to be landing in, I think part of the answer is if we know where our volume knob is when we're listening to a finished record loud.
Yeah, but that's a lot of mastering.
We're tracking, right? Then mastering has happened. So then when we're tracking, we should assume that we're going to turn our volume up a lot more than that, or a significant amount more.
I'm talking the individual tracks,
Right, but my point, I'm trying to get there.
Oh,
So then that's where our monitors are for playback, and then our faders should be in that 0 fader zone, not boosted up a bunch to hear things. And then that lets us know if you can't hear it, turn up the mic pre more. So you're in that
on your
zone
individual
possibly,
meters for your instruments. If you're recording an electric guitar and it's peaking at -20, it's too quiet. Make it peak at at least -6.
Yeah,
that's like the bare minimum.
Yeah,
in
I usually
my
like
world.
to fill it up.
Fill it up. That's a good way to put it. Fill that meter up. Ever zoom in on a picture, right? Your mom takes a picture and she's taking a portrait of you, and you get to see your head, your shirt, your feet, the floor, the 5 feet, the ceiling. You're this tiny little pixel,
and then you have to
in the middle. Then you have to zoom in. How you look all
terrible.
pixelated. You look like you're an animated character. That's what it sounds like. So use that visual representation. Fill your meters. Because I'm gonna have to increase the hell out of that volume, and you're gonna hear all this mechanical digital junk.
Fill your meters, Rockstars.
Fill your meters.
All right, cool. So,
and the other thing is, I wish they had, this is to all, if there's any manufacturers, make interfaces that don't have mic pre's in them. People are buying mic preamps, and then what are they doing? They're plugging them into their,
into a mic preamp.
Yeah, their black line mic preamp. And there's another mic preamp. So I'm a professional. I don't know how to set the level there. Where is 0 gain? I don't know.
Yeah.
So give us a line input that doesn't go through a damn mic preamp. Because all the line level, they just pad the mic pre, don't they?
Yeah, that's what I've.
I want an input without a pot on it. I don't want any level adjustment. Let me use my mic pre, or at least give us an option out there in the market. If I want an 8-channel mic pre or 2-channel mic interface, give me an option. This one has mic pre's. This one does not.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 2 XLR inputs so I can use my own.
Mm-hmm. That
would be a really good idea. Universal Audio, you hit listening. Black Line, you're listening. I think they came out with something similar, but I don't know. Maybe they should. That would certainly solve a lot of problems.
Well, I think you're right that mic pre started showing up in interfaces because more often than not, people didn't have a mic pre. But now that people have started accumulating outboard gear that's cool and building a collection of mic pre's, then you're like, all right, now how do I get into my interface?
You're certainly not going to plug, your beautiful Telefunken mic pre into, a Focusrite.
Yeah,
in your interface.
Even this one, I think this one will do it. I think, but the this mix pre that I'm recording our voices on right now, Sound Devices, it's got mic pre's in it, and they sound great. But if I want to use the mic pre's that are right behind you, for example, then I need to set levels there, and then just like you described, figure out over here. Okay, now what's the line level input?
Aren't going to know how to do. I don't know how to do that, so you can't expect somebody who's doing this as a hobby. It's just frustrating, and it'll drive you away. If I had an XLR input with no gain on it, that's what I want.
Yeah,
I would buy that 100% of the time over something with mic pre's in it.
Anything else coming from home studios that
just the edits? The edits are all bad. You got to do a crossfade, the low levels. Other than that,
what about sounds?
I can take care of that.
Using too much space, catching too much room, catching not enough room.
At that point, you can't really fix it. But no, I haven't run into that too much. Vocals usually have a lot of foot noise. If you step on your floor, you get this low sub stuff. You got to do a lot of high pass filter.
What do you think people should do to avoid that?
Stand on a rug or something. I don't know. It still won't eliminate it.
You think they're not using shock mounts for mics and stuff like that?
Maybe it could be any number of 1,000 different things. But I can usually work around that. For some reason, that's never caused me much trouble because you can always filter something. Do a little audio suite of a P-pop, or something. I can get around that. And the other thing is it's weird now because you're recording, you're mixing stuff from these interfaces and they don't have any EQ going in. These are flat. You know how bad drums sound when you stick a mic and you don't EQ it going to tape. I don't EQ much going to tape, but I EQ the crap out of my drums.
Right.
And so I got to make tones and then I got to make different tones to fit in my mix. So I'm like a tracking engineer and then I'm a mix engineer. Well, first I fix my edit. I fix all the edits. So I'm like a garbage man. I'm cleaning up your apartment.
So you're saying when somebody delivers stuff to be mixed by you, your first move is tweak each sound and get it ready.
No, my first thing is to organize their sessions.
Okay,
because they're like hoarders.
But you're not like pre-EQing and then bringing that over to the mix and then.
Yes, I am.
You are. Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? What are some?
Well, I'm using an analog console, so I'll set up like the SSL, the same SSL we all use, the Waves Evo, right? I'll put that on every channel, almost every channel, get my tones, right? And then it feeds into my console, and that's where I can get my mix tones.
So to clarify, meaning the plugin lets you get a sound coming out of Pro Tools, and then that comes out on the console where you can now use the console EQ to do like
my
mixing EQ
right,
choices.
Exactly. So I'm basically tracking and mixing in one session.
Right, because if you had tracked a band at your studio, you would have EQ'd the sounds on the drums as they gotten recorded.
Album tones on tape.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas what I'm getting is just flat 57 tones.
Yeah.
With pretty bad mic positions.
And I mean, that happens even to me too. Any studio where you have primarily mic pre's, maybe it's just mic pre's and compressors and you don't have the console, you're just not typical to do that. And I do agree with you that we let go of something. I mean, sure,
so much. Yeah,
we over EQ'd plenty of times when we started.
That's how we learned.
Right. but we did let go of something that was, we threw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
So to speak,
Remember in college, they told us record stuff. Well, the teacher I had told us to record it flat. And
right. That's just because we were messing up with the EQ.
Maybe so. Maybe it was for our own benefit. But man, you got to get good tones on tape. Because what if that went to another engineer to mix?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, this guy doesn't know what they're doing.
Well, also I think there's just compositionally, there's a missed opportunity because I think we'll sometimes make sounds that just don't fit in the space of the mix while we're making it.
Right. Exactly.
Musically, it's a great idea. It's a great part, but it's just killing things with especially things like low cut and low end and stuff like that, stuff that's going into like stacks of instruments and vocals that just doesn't need to be in there.
Yeah.
And then you have to remember to do it with a plugin, but it's like now you're doing it kind of after you recorded it instead of
and the monitor, I'm not blaming anybody because that's just the way modern, I hate this word too, workflows. It's such corporate terminology. Anyway, but that's the way modern that's the way people work now. You don't have a way to monitor. You don't have somebody isolated in a studio and you're in a control room tweaking their tone. Right. No, it's you. Your mic is right there. Your headphones. Yeah. You're wearing headphones. You can't really tweak stuff because you're hearing. Yeah. I don't know. You're not being able to hear it.
And so in a way, it makes sense to not to just leave it flat, because if you don't know what you're doing, you maybe don't want to make adjustments to it.
This is the best case scenario right now, but I still wish there was a way to get good tones going to a tape, as we say.
Yeah,
but, it's just not in modern recording.
But then on the other hand, I also think that recording lots of things in flat informs our production choices on a certain level too. Maybe if it's just a vocal, if it's just somebody recording their vocal and
I always record vocals flat.
If it's different, but I mean, like, if we're making all these arrangement choices based on hearing things that don't have that
sparkle or life, or right, exactly,
then that probably affects our production.
If you want a real mid-rangey kind of piano and it's not mid-rangey and biting yet, well, it's not going to sound as important, and you're going to add other stuff on top of it. That's going to, when I mix it and I get that pointy piano tone going that drives the track, all that other stuff is getting in the way.
Right.
That's a really good point too.
Yeah. Do you think that there's a tendency towards fewer instruments in production?
No, it's
that
the
comes
other
from too much thickness in the sounds.
There again, I'm coming from corporate country, and I rarely have a track that's under 150 tracks. They just the kitchen sink the crap out of stuff. Yeah. Pop production is additive, whereas I want to get into the other way. I want to have a kick, snare, and a guitar, and every sound counts. Yeah. I can make stuff sound so much bigger. I want to make Paul McCartney's first solo record for the rest of my career.
How often do you have people bringing you productions that are very sample based versus
I don't do that.
You just don't do that.
Yeah, that's not me. I can't work on pop music. I don't like. It's okay to not like pop music. I feel like people have put a stank on me because I just absolutely I hate it. I hate sample programmed music. It's not for me.
Together, playing music together.
It's soulless. It's like listening to a robot,
Yeah.
There's my Midwestern accent. Hear that?
Robot.
Did you?
You lost your Midwestern. From the robots.
Robot. It's a band of robots.
Well, I'm more East Coast, actually. I grew up in Brooklyn and Massachusetts and stuff.
Missouri.
My mom's side of the family is from
St.
the
Louis.
Midwest, and then I went to St. Louis for college.
Oh, okay.
So still a second home for me.
Yeah. So I do get offers to mix pop music and stuff. I'm not their guy. I don't want them to be disappointed, and I don't want to. I don't think my instincts go to that genre because it's not my world.
Do you feel like the time that you've spent watching YouTube videos, trying out mix tricks, and tweaking version after version of your mixes has gotten you nowhere? Have you been looking for more of a simple and straightforward step-by-step process for creating a pro mix that won't take years to learn? What if you could have a Grammy-winning mix engineer who understood all of your struggles and could coach you through them? If you struggle with any of these questions, then the Ultimate Mixing Masterclass is just for you. Now you can discover the proven step-by-step mixing system from Grammy-winning mix engineer Craig Alvin for consistently creating a pro-quality mix in your home studio that will sound great everywhere. Listen to this quote from one of our students, David. That was absolutely the most helpful and informative block of information and mentoring on the mixing process that I have ever been a part of. That was like sitting behind a mix engineer for years, watching and picking up pro tips along the way, condensed into a 6 to 7 hour session. Look, I'm so confident that this will help you take your mixes to the next level, that if you can't get a killer mix in 30 days, I'll give you a refund, no questions asked. So if you're ready to take your mixes to Grammy-winning quality, then go to ultimatemixingmasterclass.com and start now by checking out the free preview of the Ultimate Snare Mixing Trick. And hopefully I'll see you in the front row of the Grammys. So when you're not in the studio, one of the things that you've created, which we probably talked about this last time, so we don't have to go too deep into it, but you made a beautiful listening space for yourself at home. You've got like a whole wall of vinyl records and a great turntable system. And it's not so much, hey, let's geek out on what you set up as much as talk a little bit about like listening in a space where you don't have any ability to make any changes to the music. And so you're just a listener.
Oh, you got to let go.
Being in a space where you're in it, where everything you're supposed to do next is make a change to something in the control room.
Remind me, I want to go into something there. You got to let go. When you do a mix, You got to let it heal. I can't listen to it for about 2 weeks. And then you listen to it again. You're like, why was I tweaking that? That sounds perfect.
Right.
You know, the thing that was bothering you, it disappears. So I have the speakers that came from Ted Jensen's mastering room. He used them for 25 years. They're beautiful. B&W 80.
That's your home system?
Yeah. 802s. They're the big guys. The 801s are the smaller ones. 802s are the big ones, I think. That's what I have at home. They're
Do those have the turkey drumstick on top for
yeah,
the
but
tweeter?
kind of all of them do. But these are the original, the non-diamond tweeter. They changed the tweeters. They kind of are harsh, but I got the good ones. I know I hate to be that guy, but it really is a make or break kind of change.
And where did they come from again?
Ted Jensen's mastering room up in New York. Sterling.
And now here he is here.
He's here. And when they moved, my wife called him and I hear you're selling a bunch of your stuff. And he goes, yeah, you want the speakers?
Oh, I see. Oh, so you.
I was up there. I was up in New York when they were packing stuff up, and it was like the most perfect listening experience.
Oh, right, because they worked with a designer now, so they've got a whole set.
Yeah, they have. I mean, he has amazing speakers now.
Yeah.
So I built it into a home theater. I got the whole Atmos thing going on, and
oh, really?
the height
cool,
ceiling.
Man. We were just talking
high
about
channels
that.
and yeah. So I have that going on, but honestly, most of the time I'm listening on my Sennheisers. Plugged into my computer with what is that sound? What is that EQ?
Oh, sound reference. Soundworks or something.
Soundworks. That's it.
Yeah.
Mass drop Sennheiser 6XX, $200.
Sonarworks. Yeah.
Sonarworks. That's it.
Sound
with
reference
Sonarworks set to 650s on my Mac laptop. That's how I do about 100% of my listening.
Awesome.
And I've never been happier. It's been that way for 10 years, and I still haven't gone cold on it because it's right.
Yeah. When you listen, do you have any preference for? Do you put on a record and listen through the whole record? Do you hop around from song to song?
No, I'll put something on my turntable and I'll listen to it all the way through. You know, I like that.
Well,
that
you just
album
described
experience.
headphones in the laptop, though. What about that?
Oh, the laptop. Yeah, sure. Most of the time I'm listening, to music on my iTunes library. I'm old school. I have stuff on my hard drive.
But still just listen to a whole album.
Yeah, but because the stuff I'm listening to, I just discovered, what's that Stevie Wonder album? I like 3 days ago, I got it. Songs in the Key of Life.
Yeah.
Jesus, dude, pace yourself, right? It's a double album, and every song is like a new genre he discovered. It's just, where'd this guy come from? I mean, that's from outer space. If anybody made a record like that now, I'm not sure people would understand it. It's genius. I know there's like the 17th time I've said that, but if it's not genius, it's pretty close to it. It's just remarkable. I have a friend who, which leads me to something else. I have a friend who works in the vaults. And he floated me a flat transfer of the tapes. So I'm currently working on a Jamie Tate remaster of that, just for myself.
Right on.
Just for me, because I have quite a library of stuff that I've mastered from the flat tapes. That's how I keep my ears. That's my workout. When I'm not mixing, I'm probably EQing flat transfers of classic records.
Right. So you're not remixing, you're mastering.
Yeah. All the mixes are sacred to me.
Yeah.
The mix is a performance. Going back to Jellyfish Spilt Milk, nobody could remix that record. It's a performance, right? That's why those Beatles remixes are falling flat, because they're wrong. It's like, the new Muppets when Jim Henson died. Muppets sound wrong now, don't they?
I don't know.
I have kids. All the Muppets sound wrong except for like Miss Piggy.
And you mean the voices?
The voices.
Oh yeah, right.
And that's the way those Beatles remixes sound like. It's like Meg Ryan after plastic surgery. She went from a 9.5 to a 4. You know what I mean? That's so sexist. You understand what I'm saying. That was horrible. Why did I say that? But the mixes are sacred. So I'm remastering them, just to keep my ears pumped up. And then I'm comparing it to stuff, that like Bernie Grunman did, or, the mastering engineers did, just to keep myself in check.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, it's fun to resculpt stuff. It reminds me too of like when we first, for me, an introduction to audio engineering was having a car stereo, and I put in a graphic EQ with it.
Yeah.
Or even before that, you just reach for the treble and you're like, what's the treble and bass thing do? You know? And that's like our first version of mixing, really.
And I've gone back to that in mixing. I kind of use them as bass and treble knobs. I've never done surgical EQ, but that's the way I mix, 8K and 100 hertz.
Right. Except for that's one of the reasons why it's smart to pre-sculpt the sound when you print it.
Exactly.
So you're making the bolder production decision. because bold sound choices, you're talking about the piano that's going like dink and got the attack on it. That's a choice if you can make it at the production, that's a good place to make it. It's one of the reasons why I get really excited about having a great compressor in the studio. Like that, you're sitting next to my Empirical Labs pumps. These guys are new. They're not in the studio right now just because they look so cool right here in the back of the video. And I'm not in the studio, so I can take them back down with me. But also
I'm gonna take them with me.
the distressors, I have the C610 Spectra 1964 compressors in there too. All of those, when you record stuff, I need more EQs now after this conversation too. But when you record stuff through all this stuff and you make a bold choice and then you print it that way, now it's become a production decision so that when you go to the mix, you're hopefully doing.
Well, it's got that personality built in, right?
You're just enhancing instead of changing.
It's right? More. Think of it like a special effect. That's the way I see like my Joe Me compressors. They're not a compressor. They're not holding down your level. They're a special effect. They're adding gank to it. It's like a guitar pedal. That's what you're doing to that. If you punch up 6K or 3 kilohertz on a piano and then run it through a Fairchild, that's a character.
Yeah. And so like I guess an encouragement there too, Rockstars, is get the outboard gear. Do that if you can. If you can't, and you have a way. I mean, some like Universal Audio will let you put stuff.
That's right.
On the printing chain, so you're printing that sound and committing it,
and you don't have to consolidate.
Right, and we can do it in Pro Tools too. I mean, some of the plugins will in DSP mode will.
Yeah, they run.
In fact, the Arouser from Empirical Labs, that one I use it. I use it all the time because it's one of the ones that's in DSP mode when I pull up my plugin.
Exactly,
options.
Right.
And then it just stays on the mix. I'm just like. There's other ones I'd love to use, but if they don't show up in DSP, I'm like, okay, then it's a choice I'm bringing in later.
Yeah, it's technology it's a wonderful thing, but it's like I think it's taken us many steps back in a lot of ways. Have you noticed? This is one thing I've noticed: the new software that comes out, like Pro Tools, will have an update, and look at the list of updates. They're all ways to fix bad performances. They're nothing we needed. I've gone my whole career without needing a single one of them, but it's always to fix bad performances. That is so sad. It's, I don't know. It makes me sad. Did I mention it makes me sad?
Yeah. So what's an example of something that is just to enhance a good performance?
I think it's more of a salvage a bad performance. I think that's
I mean, like, I'm
talking about auto tune. I'm talking about all these alignment. Beat Detective. I know that's been around for years. I'm not quite in on what the new stuff is, but I looked. Recently, Avid does their their morning updates.
Well, the Audioscape stuff you talked about. Great mic pre's. Mics, output stuff is about enhancing a good performance rather than fixing a bad one.
It's just capturing whatever's in front of me the best I can. But this stuff is all about fixing, fixing bad vocals or bad drum performances or replacing bad drum sounds or fixing this. We're like one software update away from an AI mix button, I
mean, the AI stuff's in everywhere.
Is it?
It's in everywhere.
Yeah. Who's asking for this?
I don't know, but I feel like I understand the worries about losing stuff as new tech shows up, but I'm also like, what can we do to like when Hendrix whips out a wah-wah pedal and uses it on a guitar, who was complaining that it was like, what happened to just playing good tone, or something like that?
But that is a good tone.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
but AI is making it for us. That's my problem.
Only if you use it that way. If there's going to be hopefully stuff that'll allow us to do new things that are interesting, like stem separation.
I don't want that. The mix is there. The mix is done.
I'm not trying. It's not to improve a mix, but like, what ways would it be? Can you make something new that you couldn't make before? That's what I'm getting at. And I don't know what the answer is yet.
Yeah, maybe.
I can tell you a use case that I was like, oh, that's super helpful. There was a we were doing acoustic and voice demos, and I threw it in there, and I was just like, hey, take the voice out, and it was like, and it was just the acoustic was left, and I was like, oh, that's amazing, or vice versa.
Okay, so I had that recently. I was working with this actress, right? Very well-known actress, and she was doing her album, and she wanted to do the piano and vocal at the same time. Great, awesome, we did it. I mixed it. It sounded great. 2 weeks later, she sends me my own tracks back with the voice erased from the piano track and the piano erased from the voice track. Mixed it again. I'm like, what happened to my tracks? First of all, they sounded all chirpy. It was very suspicious sounding. It sounded inhuman.
Yeah.
This live recording of my beautiful piano, and it was chirpy, and it sounded like it was generative AI, right?
I probably didn't do a good job.
So I mixed. Well, he was using all the latest. One of her Hollywood friends did it. So I mixed it, and it sounded smaller. And she's like, "Why does this sound worse?" And I said, "Because you took half my sound away." I had another one. They did that with drums. They took all the cymbal bleed, all the leakage away. Mm-hmm. Why do my drums sound smaller? Because you took half my sound away. That sucks. I can't do it. I know that's how some people work. That's not how I work. I listen to too many Zeppelin records. Leakage is your friend,
Yeah, and I'm gonna clarify the point I was making. So the point I wanted to make was not that it would be that the taking a voice out of an acoustic guitar made the acoustic of the voice sound better. The point I wanted to make is in a production process, when you're at the beginning of a creation, and let's say somebody sends you a voice and a guitar and they only know one strum pattern, and it's kind of killing the possibility of where this song could go.
Right.
To remove the guitar, and all of a sudden you just got the melody, and you're like, oh, what would this be with a totally different thing? To me, those are moments where it's helpful, Well,
that's good. I love that example. That's a great example. See, my mind didn't go there. I went negative too quickly, but I get it. But we're using it to fix stuff that doesn't necessarily need to be fixed. Right.
No, I get your point.
Because you're being raised with all this stuff. If you're coming into it now, you think that's standard operating procedure, right? And it's just not. All these, denoising things, or taking breaths out, for instance. That makes me feel like I can't breathe. Right. Everybody takes breaths out, and I'm sitting there adding them back because I want it to sound like a human being. I know that's not cool and hip now, but I'm tired of the humanization being taken out of the human elements being erased from music. And I hate it.
Yeah.
I think I would have hated this in my 20s too. So I don't think this is an old man thing. It takes music is emotion. Imagine an actor acting as stiff as we record music. It would suck, right? Or it would be like,
we just changed. We just watched a
Dynamite,
movie. I mean,
but without the humor. It would be horrible. That's what music sounds like. It sounds like this, it's horrible. So that's why I'm going the other way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And I think all these, it's great to hear perspectives like that too. It's great to hear.
Well, I'm living in that world and I'm getting frustrated as hell. I've spent more time there than most people because that's where I live. You do a mix, I spend 4 hours or 8 hours on a mix, and then you spend 2 weeks tweaking it. Come on. And I can't tell the difference before or after, It's great because I get paid a lot more money, but I'd just rather not. I'm on conference calls with label goons. I may have said this before, but the point where I realized I didn't want to work, my whole career, I wanted to get the top spot of my career. I wanted to mix the big records. I did. I was there. I hated it. I hated it more than oral surgery. You know what I mean? And I was on a conference call. This is on a song that sold, I think it's 5 million download. It was Thomas Rhett, You Make Me Wanna. Okay. I'm at the point I don't care anymore. It was Thomas Rhett, Make Me Wanna. Great song. It was the coolest thing on country radio when it was out. I have a plaque on my wall for it. But there was a conference call. I was on the phone with label owner, label accountant's wife. And label accountant's wife was giving me mix notes. And that was when I was like, I'm out.
It would have sounded better in doubly.
No, yeah, it was that kind of stuff. Well, my friend thinks, but they didn't think that. And this, they're asking. Everybody has an opinion. Who cares? The only opinion I care about is the artist, or the producer. They tweaked and tweaked that mix. Maybe it didn't get as bad as I thought it because I kind of resisted a horrible. You send them the same mix, label it differently, that old gag. I didn't do it on that, but I don't know what happened. But many times I'm on these, the mix tweaks are pages. And it's all stuff like, who cares? Who cares? That's not necessary. There's a breath there. Oh, the second hit of the tambourine in the third chorus needs to be a quarter beat. It's that kind of stuff. Nobody cares. It doesn't make the song a hit.
Well, we were talking about that idea of when you're listening at home on the stereo, you're listening without the ability to make changes, unless you're listening at a record label where somebody said, "Hey, write down all your changes."
Yeah. Anybody have thoughts? No, you didn't earn the right to have an opinion on the mix. I'm sorry. The record label is the publicist. Publicist. They're an advertising agency, right? Isn't that what their job is?
Mm-hmm.
It used to be to find new talent and take us into new eras of great musical of musical greatness, right? I don't know if it ever was like that. That's the way I thought of it in my head. But now it's just advertise this stuff. Get it out there. Your social media managers don't have opinions on the mix. We're the creative people.
Yeah.
Right? That's horrible. That's why I don't work with them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to take... So there's a girl I worked with. All right, she wanted to be an artist. We did her thing. She shopped it around. She wasn't very good. I mean, it wasn't there to be had. We tried our best. It didn't happen. And then she gets a job with the record label, and now I'm taking creative orders from her. She didn't know enough to make her own music good. How does she know enough to make this other person's stuff good? It's very frustrating. So yeah, I ran full speed out of corporate world. It's not too hard. All you have to do is next time they call you for a mix, you say, "Oh, I can do it in 4 days." That's it. You're done. They'll never call you back.
4 days.
Oh, I can do it next week.
Right, because then right, because otherwise they want it now.
They want it now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I had a good run, but it wasn't for me. And working with independent artists is so much more fulfilling.
For 15 years, I had a famous MCI console at my studio that originally came from Criteria Studio C in Miami, where it made some of the most iconic Grammy-winning records of the 1970s. And it sounded incredible. When I was ready to upgrade my studio to a full digital mixing setup, I teamed up with Rick Carson at Make Believe Studio, Metric Halo, and Golden Ear producer Bill Simzik to recreate the legendary MCI console as the new MBSI plugin. The MBSI captures the same iconic sound used on multi-million selling records like Hotel California for the Eagles, Saturday Night Fever and Staying Alive for the Bee Gees, I Shot the Sheriff for Eric Clapton, We're an American Band for Grand Funk Railroad, and the soundtrack to Grease, the movie, all for legendary producers like Tom Dowd, Todd Rundgren, and Bill Simzik. The MBSI plugin not only delivers the authentic sound of the original MCI console faithfully, but it also adds new features like a top-notch compressor, overdrive, and a dual EQ filter switch, adding tools that Bill Simzik said he would have loved to have in the original console. Now you too can get that Grammy-winning MCI sound in your home studio. Whether you're recording or mixing, you can experience the sound of Miami 1976 with the MBSI plugin and soak up a little sunshine in your sound at makebelievestudio.com/MBSI. I love working with independent artists. I do appreciate working with people that take the craft seriously enough to push for great things.
Yeah.
And then occasionally working with independent artists, there can be many opportunities on low budgets and things to let things go a little too quickly. But working with independent artists is wonderful when you finish a day and, they've already Venmo'd you the payment as they walk out the door versus like, oh, gee whiz, we've crossed the 30-day, due date twice, 2 months in a row now, and the late fees are accumulating and you're still chasing down invoices somewhere. But it's all good, man. It's all good. So here, this is something that you had mentioned before, before we finish up. You were talking about being excited about Ken Scott's work. Ken Scott's work. So attempts to recreate the classic 1960s sound.
Everybody drink because I'm going to mention 1960s again. Ken Scott, the White Album. Listen to that. Those recordings that he did. Remember Jeff Emmerich got so frustrated with the Beatles he quit during the White Album.
Yeah.
Right, because there was so much arguing he couldn't take it emotionally. I was lucky enough to talk to Jeff several times. Like I said, I collect these people. I got to know Ken Scott a little bit. I've talked and met with them all.
Yeah, he's a real nice dude.
Wouldn't you want to spend 6 months in the studio with Ken Scott making a record? Wouldn't that just be a dream? There's a series, I don't know who did it, but he's at Abbey Road with the red console, with the old mics, blah, blah, blah. And he's teaching us how to do early Beatles, middle Beatles, and late Beatles era recordings. Listen to them, though. They don't sound vintage. They're missing that Mark and Gush, Even he can't make those tones anymore. And he's like the best. He's amazing. Listen to those bass tones on White Album. Listen to those drum tones, amazing. That stuff, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, right? But in the series, you listen to his final thing that he comes up with, and it's not it. I don't know. We have the gear. I don't know if we can do it anymore. We may have lost that knowledge. I think the world I grew up in recording is getting lost. My experiences in the recording music industry they're not valid anymore, because that world doesn't exist much. I'm kind of like the last one, right? Where the studio brings in studio musicians and, whatever, and we make a record. Nowadays, it's all done in bedrooms with a 2-octave keyboard, and all these plugins, producer packs. So you don't really have to know. I don't know how to get drum tones. I got a CLA plugin. Does it all for me, right? A lot of this knowledge is being erased. It worries me to death, because I have nothing else to worry about, because I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I don't know. I wish we could go back and ask Glenn Johns. Well, maybe not. I asked Glenn Johns that Ogden Nut Gun Flake album. How'd you get the drum sounds? And he goes, well, first of all, you got to get the small phases in there. I'm like, okay. No. I just want to know how you got that drum sound. How did you do that? I don't know. Right? It ain't about the gear, because I got the drums. I have all the mics. I have all the mic pre's. I have all the stuff, and I can't get anywhere close to what they're doing. Oh,
so you're saying you are accumulating some of the same tools to try and copy?
I have the tools. I have a 64 Black Oyster drum set with the Rogers tom mount. I mean, I'm down to the minuscule. It ain't about that stuff. It has nothing to do with that. I mean, it has something to do with that stuff.
Well, definitely the player makes a big difference.
Yeah, but people say that, but you listen to any garage band recorded in the 60s and it has that 60s tone,
all of them do, yeah.
There are a couple great sets Rhino put out in the 90s called Nuggets and Son of Nuggets, and it's all this garage band stuff. One set's from the US, one set's from Europe. Brilliant recordings. Horrible recordings, but they're amazing. They're like big Technicolor VistaVision recordings. They're kind of band limited and, squished and distorted. I don't know how to get those tones, and it frustrates me to no end. I can't get the tones on a Simon & Garfunkel record. Roy Halle, I don't know what he was doing. Snare drum on Homeward Bound. I'm going to give you a mic, a U67 and a mic pre, and you get that tone. You can't.
I think we need to start a new series, a new channel called Tone Hunters.
Tone Hunters.
And we just go around and but we have an enormous budget, so we can travel the world.
Well, there's somebody doing it.
Meet with people and try to
Reverb
figure
has
out
a YouTube
recreate
channel.
things.
Reverb has a YouTube channel. Have you watched this?
Actually, Tone Hunters already exists, and it's right next to Podzilla and Poddamn.
There's this guy, that's the Reverb YouTube channel. Young kid. I don't know how old he is. Really nice guy. I don't know. I forgot his name. I'm so sorry. But what they do is he and this drummer, she goes in and plays the drums, and he dials in the tones from specific records. We're going to get the tones off of this Black Eyed Keys record. We're going to get the Motown drum sound.
Oh, cool.
Dude gets close. He's closer than anybody I've heard. He's still not 100% there, but I'm not sure it's possible. There's something in the zeitgeist.
So Rockstars watching this, drop a comment in. Just drop it in. Use the comments. Put the link into the name of that channel, because whoever's watching it knows.
Watch the one on Motown. Boy, does he get close.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there and he's under biasing the tape, so it gets that bright distorted sound.
He's got the full tape and everything.
Oh yeah, I think tape's part of it.
Yeah.
These plugins.
Do you still have your tape machines, or do you?
I do. I have a Studer 827. I have a 440. I have a couple Ampex machines.
Nice. Dude.
Yeah. But those plugins they give us, the J37.
I let go of mine and I bought the producer pack.
You will not find a producer pack.
I bought the Jamie Tate pack.
Boy, wow.
You just it's a plug-in. It's great, man. You just put it on your mix and it yells at you.
Yeah, it's a moped about, do your damn crossface. Don't consolidate. Right. Have you ever gotten that way? Like, Well, I'm obsessed with so many things. There's this Neil Hefti record, songs from Batman, right? It's a kid's record.
Cool. The Batman soundtracks. I mean, to me,
or
one of the sounds is all the
Esquivel?
sounds of the cartoons and TV music.
That's, man, the Warner Brothers, the Hanna-Barbera.
Like who made the Flintstones?
This is exactly what I'm talking about. How did they do that sploink sound? Tell me how they did that. I don't know how they did that.
Sploink.
Yeah. Amazing. I have a whole CD of the cartoon sound effects, right? I mean, I think we all have that.
A lot of percussions. There's like some percussionists who's a genius at it,
Those are my ringtones on my phone, right? I don't know how they did those sounds, but there's something back then, because as distorted and, I don't know, just change how whatever's changing the tones back then was doing it to music also, and I can't get that tone, and I cannot be more frustrated with it. And anybody can help me find this. I'm talking, I just wrote an article for Recording Magazine talking about this, and I think he's going to set it up to where Eddie Kramer and I sit down and try to get this happening.
Right
I think Eddie said yes, so I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but I would love to get with some of these old engineers and just talk to like everyone who we're losing them, right?
You should do it.
I was working on this. Marty Stewart record. It was a 20th anniversary issue. We were doing some remixes and stuff. And Marty's like, "What are you doing lately?" And I said, "I'm doing some jazz records. 4 musicians, 5 microphones kind of thing, right? Everybody in the same room, piano's right next to the drum set." And I played it for him. He's like, "Oh my, that sounds like a record from the 50s. I'm like, "Thank you. Yes." He said, "You want to make a Connie Smith record like that?" I said, "Yes, I do." So, Connie Smith is his wife. She's in the Country Music Hall of Fame. She made like 60 records. So she came out of retirement. We did a record like that. I put 2 mics on the drums, Chad Cromwell. We had all the right players. We had Pig on piano, 1 mic on the piano. Everybody was in the same room, guitar amps next to the drums, stand-up bass next to the drums.
Awesome.
And I mixed it that way, and I got close, right? And then I'm not sure if it came out, but they put like a modern cover on it, like a new picture, and it just looks like a digital picture, and it doesn't really tell you what's in the record. I don't think people picked up that it was a retro album, and it just kind of all fell flat. But
But you got to do it.
I got to do it.
Yeah.
And I got to do it with famous people, and I got to do it with like
and
amazing.
You know what it sounds like.
Yeah. Connie Smith, I don't even know if it's out, to be honest with you. But if it is out, listen to track 2. That was close. I had the drums panned off to one side, but they hated it. So, but one thing I did learn, Connie was working, she worked at Studio B in the 60s.
RCA Studio.
Yeah, RCA Studio B.
Which is now a tourist attraction and a functioning studio.
Yeah, it's a really good room, actually.
I haven't had a chance to work there yet.
I've worked there a couple of times. I recorded Elvis Costello there once. How about that? But she worked, she was there. So she helped me set up the room. This is where he sat, this is where he sat, and this is where that, so I set it up exactly as she told me. And my golly, the leakage was half the key, but I don't think I had the tube console, and they didn't want me to go to analog tape, so I had to go to Pro Tools. I think they used it as a safety net. If I'd gone to analog tape, I would have been closer. If I had a tube console, I would have been even closer. It's kind of a modern mix because that's the way I hear things, but I got close. But working with her on how to EQ a vocal taught me a lot. She added so much 3 kilohertz to her vocal until she was happy. More.
So are
almost
you turning
enough.
the knob, but she's telling you what she likes
She's
to
sitting
sound
right
of?
next to me as I EQ her voice.
Right on.
And then she had me, that EQ on my console, I'd never seen it, she was right. I recorded her with a 47, blah, blah, blah. But she helped me get that vocal tone, and that was the key. Wow. I learned a lot from her, actually.
That's cool.
Yeah. I don't know if it ever came out. I hope it did.
You've been down to Muscle Shoals yet?
No, I haven't.
Have you heard about it?
Oh, yeah, a little bit, yeah. Yeah, those records are pretty cool. That Bob Seger
check
stuff.
It out, man. You'd have a blast. Just going down there to even visit and just take a tour of Muscle Shoals Sound and Fame Studios, that alone is 100% worth a weekend trip.
I've done Abbey Road. I've done Sun. I've done others like that.
Yeah.
So I need to go down there.
It's fun. All right, dude. So this is a question that I've asked you before, but I'll ask it again. We get to take the Wayback Studio machine. and you go back in time and you find young Jamie and you say, listen, dude, here's the single most important thing you need to know to be a rock star of the studio yourself one day. What advice this time around do you feel like going back and giving yourself if you could?
I think it's about the personality. People have to feel comfortable with you. You have to make them feel welcomed and loved and listened to, really get on their wavelength, understand what they're telling you, because they're feeling it with all their soul. Some of these people are, This is their whole dream to make a record. This is a big event in their lives. Now that I'm not working with like big artists, I'm working with people. This is the big event of their life. This marriage, kids, right? That's a big deal to put on your shoulders. So man, you gotta make them happy, make them feel loved, right? I think that's so important.
I think a good takeaway from that too is that reminds us once again why it's so important to go in the direction of what you actually love too. Yeah. Because if you follow what you truly enjoy musically, whether you're making the music or whether you're recording the music or whether you go after stuff, instead of there's a lot of opportunities, especially for us coming up in a place like Nashville, where you're surrounded by professional, successful music making on some level. So there was a lot of opportunity for us to look and say, oh, maybe that's how I should do it, because that seems to be a real job, or that seems to be good, even though maybe I really like this thing over here. Yeah. But like when we pursue something that we really enjoy, it makes it so much easier to do what you just described, because then you're genuinely giving them the feedback because you feel it.
I think I finally found it. I went where the opportunities were, and it wasn't necessarily aligning with my musical tastes. No, none of these musicians like the music that we're playing. I'll give you a hint. Nobody does. I mean, even the record label goons they understand what
you mean on like a lot of the commercial
stuff
like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's one guitarist who's like, if I have to play a song about beer again, I'm going to shoot myself, right? Well, that's all we do. We do songs about beer.
Is that a song title yet?
I don't know. Beer Truck, Tattoo Farm. I'm not sure. They're all... But that's all we do. Country music has been devalued to the point it's all just motivational party music. So when we do work on something we love, man, we dig in. It's just such a great day for us.
I'm trying to write that down. If I have to play a song about beer again, I think I'm going to shoot myself.
Yeah, he said, I have a pocket full of pills. I may go out back and take a really long nap.
Good Lord. Well, dude, it's great to have you back on the show, man. It's really fun. I always enjoy hanging out with you. Rockstars, thank you for watching. Jamie, let the rockstars know, where can they go find out more about you? What if they're just curious about the Ruckus Room, or what if they just want to come make a cool record?
I'm taking a little bit of a break. The life-work balance wasn't working for me.
You needed more podcast time.
I did. I'm making the rounds. So my family is really important to me. They're, those two boys of mine and my wife, nobody else in the world matters anywhere near as much as those people. Yeah. Right. So I'm taking some time off. I need to, let my mind rest. So next year I'm going to start up again.
Cool.
But I think Ruckus Room is up. I've deactivated all my social media accounts and I'm just taking a break. I'm kind of unplugging from the world and it feels really good.
Yeah.
You need to stay, the work-life balance.
What do they call it? Sabbatical, right?
Yeah, sabbatical. People do it around my age. I know a lot of musicians who just disappeared for about 2 years.
Is this your sabbatical sweater?
It is.
Your sabbatical
all
cardigan?
I need is a pipe and a glass of warm milk and I can be a
sketchbook. A leather-bound sketchbook. I mean, I'm vegan, so maybe like a pleather-bound sketchbook.
I'm there. That's cool. Yeah, so I'm just enjoying. I'm learning to enjoy life again. I'm slowing down, and I needed it. I've been working nonstop for 30 years.
I'm trying to plan a big break for myself coming up too.
It's so important.
Yeah,
learn to meditate.
It's fun to bust your ass and then chill out.
Yeah, slide for a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite. And I'm just so tickled at your continued success with this. Your studio is gorgeous.
Thank you, dude. Thank you. My continued success is just keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, I still love doing all the stuff we do.
I don't think that goes away. See, it went away with me. I fell out of love with music.
Yeah, you've already revealed to us that you're totally in love with it still. Maybe you're just pointing your compass in a new direction.
Yeah, that's a good way.
Is.
That's how my wife would say it because she's really good to me.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm finding my way again. I got lost in the corporate world.
It's all right. It was probably a place that probably needed to happen.
I'm out. If I hear another 808 hi-hat, I'm gonna shoot everybody in the near vicinity.
All right, I won't show you my 808. Actually, I don't have one.
Good.
Rockstars, thanks for watching.
Thank you for listening too, guys. By the way,
we're saying kick the like button and subscribe to the channel.
Like and subscribe.
Drop in a comment too, and let us know if you got
You
any
don't use
questions.
SM7s. I thought that was like a law.
They're right over there. And I'm debating whether I might.
I thought it was a law. Everybody has.
I've always been. These are my Mic Tech PM9s,
Good.
and I've always used them, and they've sounded great. They've done 500 episodes already.
There, you got that in again. Drink 500 with him and 1966 with me. Drink.
See you guys in the next episode.
Thanks, Lij.
Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Recording Studio Rockstars. If you enjoyed the show and want to help make it better, then please share this episode with your friends on social media and leave a rating and review on iTunes to help the podcast reach more rock stars like yourself. You can click directly over to iTunes or go to rsrockstars.com/review for an easy explanation. And remember to hit the subscribe button to keep up with weekly episodes. And if you're ready to make your best record ever now, then head over to Recording Studio Rockstars Academy, where you can start with my free course at mixmasterbundle.com. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks for being a rock star. I'm Lij Shaw, and this is Recording Studio Rockstars. Now, go make great music. Recording Studio Rockstars would like to give a big thank you to our awesome sponsors who help make this episode possible. iZotope, Native Instruments, Roswell Pro Audio, and Atom Audio. And remember to take advantage of our special coupon codes. At iZotope.com and nativeinstruments.com, use the coupon code ROCK10 for 10% off any plugin. If you enjoyed Recording Studio Rockstars, please check out our sponsors using the links in our show notes. These are all things that I highly recommend for your studio because they're going to help you make your best record ever. Also, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is new for us here, and it's a great way for you to help support this show, so I greatly appreciate it. I would also like to thank our fantastic team here at Recording Studio Rockstars, Vlad Weselchenko and Liz Hulitskaya. Thanks so much for watching and for listening. My name is Lij Shaw, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.